Everybody. It is 6:30 on this October 28th, 2025. We have a motion to accept the agenda. Moved by Nico, seconded by Mr. Gilmore. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Situate Select Board is committed to providing environmental respect during our meetings. We ask all of our members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. And we value the participation of our community and want everyone, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to be welcomed and respected. Ask our committee members and everyone who participates to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. We're gonna, before we do walk-ins, we're actually gonna do wonderful recognition of 25 years. Chief, how are you?
I'm good. I'll be accepting.
Paul.
I'll be accepting for Paul, who's on duty in Humrock right now. That's him. He a very elusive. 25 years. That's the best I can come up with for 2 pictures. I spent well over half an hour trying to dig through it. We're slowly pulling all our pictures together for the slideshow to get enough retirement party as well. But that was the best I could do. That's 2019 on the right. That's a vehicle inside the Mount, which is now the Mount One Bank now. So he was on that call. Luckily, no serious injuries that day. Paul's been with us since October 23rd of 2000. He played a real significant role in the Build Buck paramedic program. At the time, we only had probably 4 or 5, and he was, so I think maybe he was our 7th or 8th paramedic. And just in comparison, today we have 46, so we're almost 100%. So that was a huge milestone to get that program going. And Paul came to us as an experienced medic. He was working for AMR ambulance in the Wellesley area, so came with experience. So it's been, and now when we have new medics, we have senior paramedics to train. We didn't have any seniority in trade or experience. We played a real big role with that. He's served as on the Department of Guide team to the past union president of IAFF Local 1464, which is the firefighters union. Currently signed in for Humrock. However, we occasionally get a guest appearance when he fills in the ambulance up here on the mainland. Paul's a U.S. Army veteran, lives in Scituate with his wife. He's the father of a son, a daughter, and 2 stepsons. I've had the pleasure of working with Paul his entire career. He's a true professional, and we can always come on. Just dependable, an asset.
And again, 25 years, unbelievable to be to be on the scene. You said it often, but I still don't understand how people can do it. The anxiety and stress when something bad is happening. So we thank him so much for 25 years. It was unbelievable to me, all that happening on.
I just am so happy that we have a force that has so many long veterans, and Paul's a great example of that. I think his service started.
It's National First Responders Day, so thank you to him and to all of you guys for keeping us safe.
I just think it's extraordinary that the man as dedicated as that, and your entire team is like that. What a great culture, what a great attitude. I think the town is in very good hands when something does hit the fan, pardon my pleasure. So, and best wishes and congratulations to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have something more that you can pass on.
Thank you very much.
Give everyone a hand.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Take a cookie.
Thank you.
We will now have walk-ins. So, walk-ins are things that are not on the agenda. Come on up. How are you?
Well, thank you. My name is Patricia Lambert. I live 14 Alexander Place in Scituate, and I am here as a private citizen tonight. I am here to lodge a formal complaint against the zoning board of appeals. I had no place else to turn except you are the ones that appoint them. I thought that you should know the story. They exceeded their authority by a lot in when they granted a special permit to the 3A gas station. I filed a complaint in April with the zoning enforcement officer. He told me that he was going to address it, which he did. I was informed that there was a meeting, which I appeared at. It took 3 meetings to go through this, which should have been 1. The gas station had a variance in 1968 to operate in a residential zone. The zoning board of appeals, instead of granting a variance to them, granted them a special permit. So we now have 3 businesses operating in some place that shouldn't be there at all. They should have gotten a variance because it had to do with parking. And parking is the purview of planning, it is not the purview of zoning. And I stood up at the meeting and I told the people several times, 2 lawyers as a matter of fact, that they were violating their own bylaws. It with great disregard, they didn't pay any attention. I went from the zoning enforcement officer who told me he had nothing to say. Last week, we got a letter of a decision of this meeting. All of my neighbors, myself included. Pretty hard to have a decision since we were never notified that there was an original meeting. Although we were told we will mail a letter, no one in my neighborhood received a letter about the original meeting. The letter came to me, I can tell you that I have a little bit of an issue with the applicant's lawyer writing the decision, but he did. I don't feel that this letter addresses any of the 3 meetings that I was at. It doesn't tell you what the vote is, and and all 5 members sign, and they don't tell you what the decisions are. So that's a little bit of a problem. I think that as you appoint these people, they might need a little training because they obviously do not know that they were violating their own bylaws. And I read it to them. And they were like, yeah, we just don't really care about that. I think that's a really precedent-setting decision to make for the town. And I thought that you should be made aware of that since you do appoint these people. Yeah.
And just for clarity, the letter they received, who did that go to? Was that?
This comes from the town, it's the town.
Who did they send it to? A butter?
They sent it to all the abutters.
To all the abutters, so you're in a butter,
I'm in a butter.
you're in a butter to the.
So, and we never got a letter for the original, I knew about the meeting because I'm the one that filed the complaint. So, my telephone was blowing up last week, with everybody saying to me, what is this thing about? If we had known there was an issue, we would have gone to the meeting and voiced our dismay. So I just think that they need to, as I said at the last town meeting, everybody has a lane, you have to stay in your lane. And when you don't know what your zoning regulations and bylaws are, I think that's a little bit downfall of part of the board.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other walk-ins or zoom-ins? Seeing none, we will go to the report of the town administrator.
Good evening, thank you. Packed agenda tonight, so I'll be brief since there's not a whole lot of updates since yesterday. But first off, we are monitoring Hurricane Melissa, which is currently impacting Jamaica. Latest news reports forecast for us is it will not have an impact on Scituate. We'll be going out to sea. We are expecting wet weather tomorrow, Thursday into Friday. Last I saw it should be out by the time trick-or-treating comes on Friday night. But we'll be keeping an eye on that and let people know if we see any changes in Hurricane Melissa. Reminding people, special town meeting is Monday night, November 3rd, 7 o'clock, Scituate High School Auditorium. The water is available on the town website on the red banner at the top of the page and on the town clerk page. This Friday is Halloween in the Harbor. Annual Halloween in the Harbor, rain or shine from 4 to 5:30 p.m. This is a great event, so bring your kids. Front Street will be partially closed to traffic while the trick-or-treating hunters, so if you're not going down there, please stay the public routes. Real estate and personal property taxes are due November 3rd, so I have to remind everybody. The town surplus auction is now live. Auctions International is hosting our town surplus auction. The link is live on both the town website and town Facebook page. Bidding ends this Friday. You must register on the site in order to bid. Post 44 is once again celebrating Veterans Day, providing a free turkey luncheon with the help of the Voyage Restaurant to all Scituate veterans and one guest. Extra guests are allowed at the cost of $20 each. They need a count by November 7th, so you can email Bob Callahan at recallahan@comcast.net, or at commander@situatepost144.org. Or you can call Gene at 617-842-0092. They also like to know branch of service and years served. Reservations are limited to 1:30, so please call early and make sure you get your reservations. Veterans Day ceremonies will be at 11 o'clock. They will be at 10:45 at the Scituate Senior Center. Be a rifle salute, playing of taps, and the singing of the national anthem, followed by an invocation by the chaplain. Ceremonies will then move indoors to the banquet room, where there will be a POW MIA remembrance and some speeches by invited guests. There's a cash bar for beer, wine, and liquor. The meal will consist of a salad, roast turkey, stuffing, mashed potato, butternut squash, cranberry sauce, and gravy. Desserts are provided by Post 144. The Post 144's classic rock band will play 60s and 70s music after the meal. The meal is donated by the Voyage Restaurant in Hummerock. So special thanks to Keith O'Callahan and the Voyage for donating that once again. So if you can, get online, get your reservations. That's a great event for all our veterans. DPW updates. The doing is still working on the pump station at the Rotary, making the connection from the pump station to the new water main going to the treatment plant. Crews are wrapping up work on 91 Surfside Road revetment repairs this week. Once they're done, they'll be staging for revetment repairs along Glades Road down at Minot. Crews are still working on Seaside Road. That work is expected to continue into mid-November. Oceanside Drive seawall replacement project is ongoing. Contractor has pulled some equipment out this week because of the high tides and the storm, but they will be returning to finish up that project. The contractor is returning to Old Forge neighborhood this week to begin the tie-ins from the new water mains to the houses. That'll be ongoing. Remind the people, Peggy Beach grass cleanup is this Saturday, November 1st, from 10 a.m. to 12. Join volunteers at Peggy Beach for beach grass planting and cleanup. And finally, the Scituate Food Pantry, with the holidays coming, with everything going on in the country, they have an even bigger need for help. They have their expanded hours tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The new most needed items: stuffing, boxed mashed potatoes, candy yams, cranberry juices, cran apple, grape, or raspberry, quick bread mixes, canned fruit cocktail, canned cream of chicken and mushroom soups, hot chocolate, flavored oatmeals, Jello, and pudding cups. This will be dropped off at the food pantry during operating hours. The bins behind the Old Gate School, Scituate Library, Village Market, and Shaw will also supply food. So I have. Happy to entertain any questions the board may have.
Any questions?
That's the pump station they're working on by the Rotary.
Yes.
Okay. Couple of people have asked me.
Yeah, they have to do some work on the pumps, and they have to connect that pump station to the new raw water line that will run out to the treatment plant. They're doing that.
Thank you.
Also. Great. More questions? Couple, just some more quick announcements. One's getting darker out. A lot of kids out there on e-bikes. That stuff. Things getting very dangerous. Like remind folks, be careful, especially around Halloween, and also the Mordecai Lincoln House. Probably seen it either on social media or other places that it could. It's on the list of haunted places for this week for Halloween. It's been at multiple sites. Just so you know, may or may not be haunted, but you should definitely check out the property to see. Might be, we'll see. But it's the mill area that's over there. It's all over social media, but you decide for yourself. With that, I'm gonna call up Jim DeVito for our.
No, we can't do that. You're close enough, it's
6:45.
6:44.
Come on, walk up.
up here.
While you walk, and also, there's gonna be
Have
a.
a cookie, come up, have a
That's
cookie.
slow.
That's bar
Yes,
Have a
come on up. And just when anyone comes up, you may join, because today, everyone should know, Phil, I'm buying you some time, is our own, Jamie Gilmore, it's his birthday.
Yes,
And,
39 again.
yes.
Happy birthday.
And Jamie told me years ago, his favorite quote about aging politicians was from Jefferson. And Jamie told me that you should never judge a politician by their age, but by his accomplishment. And Jamie reminded me when Thomas Jefferson told me that.
Yes,
So,
I had to write it down for you.
yes, exactly.
Not their age, it's the age of their idea.
Anyway, happy
I've
birthday
heard that.
and enjoy. All right, now I think I filibustered enough to
Yeah,
get us
6:45.
the public hearing on our tax classification.
Good evening. I'm Joe DeVito, the Director of Assessing. This is an annual hearing that we have. Once the new values have been approved by the state, which they were done on October 7th. And basically, what the Board of Assessors are asking the Select Board to do is decide whether or not they want to shift any of the residential tax burden onto the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes. The town has never done that, and the main reason is the catastrophic impact on the commercial, industrial, personal property classes, because we only have 4% commercial, industrial, personal property in value. The only town around here, you'll see in the document that I included with the Friday packet, is Hanover. And they have a good sized commercial tax base, 15%. And they shift their tax burden 15% onto the commercial class. 15% of the residential burden is shifted onto commercial, industrial, and personal property. The Board of Assessors unanimously voted not to shift any of the burden onto the commercial industrial class. Instead, requested the Select Board adopt a factor of 1, which means a single tax rate, which I'm projecting to be 983. If you go to the very last page of the whole presentation, it really speaks for itself. You can see I would go all the way over to the right where it's a 150 shift. Basically shifting 50% of the burden onto the residential class. Your average tax bill would save $186 on the residential side. On the commercial side, the average tax bill will go up $5,800. So that kind of shoves it in your face and really shouts that the town should maintain a factor of 1.
Should run for
Forever.
Questions? Comments, thoughts? Anyone there? Questions?
My main thought is that as we look forward, we need to continue to do what we've done for quite a while, which is to continue encouraging chamber and businesses to keep thinking of new ways to leverage the break parts of town, and to, as a town, consider new ways to allow people to have more business in town. Carefully, but to encourage a better ratio so that we don't have to worry on so much on the residential side of burdening our homeowners. Seems obvious, but I think it's important.
All right, this is a public hearing, so, sorry. I'll see if there's anyone in the audience.
Motion?
And I'll just check, legally, I'll also check. Online, anybody online?
Mr. Goodrich, no one online.
All right, so last chance, public hearing, going once, going twice. Love a motion.
Move that the Select Board vote to approve the residential factor according to Mass General Legislation, Chapter 58, Section 1A.
Miller, seconded by?
Second.
Nico? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
See you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
all right. Also, it is 6:50. Public hearing, this is the National Grid poll, but this is, just so folks know, if anyone's here, it has been withdrawn. But the point. So again, it's 6:50, we're throwing that. Next, we have the change of manager at Barker House, Wedgwood Weddings. I think we have the attorney and then, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Good evening.
There's Tyler. Well, Megan, how are you? So yeah, tell us what's happening.
Absolutely.
Manager change, but yeah, go.
Yeah.
for it.
Absolutely. by way of introduction, Tyler Hensler here, attorney for Barker House Tavern. Doing the change of manager of record to Megan Palencia. Megan is a U.S. citizen. She is a Massachusetts resident. She is familiar with the rules and regulations related to the sale and service of alcohol of this board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth. And she has experience in the industry. Nothing else at the Barker House will be changing. And with that, we're happy to take any questions, and we thank you for accommodating us virtually.
Excellent. Tip certified?
Yes.
Yes. What questions?
All her paperwork's in order.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Looks great. Questions from the public? Okay, so this is, again, I've never received any words of concerns about Barker. The Barker House, it's called by its old name, sorry. This is, yeah, everything we've heard here, everything's been well, everything's in order on our side. Lots of experience. I built this one, they call the business a layup. I'll take a motion, unless there's.
Move that the select board approve the application for a change of manager to Megan Valencia for the Barker House by Wedgewood Weddings located at 21 Barker Road for an general on-premise chapter 15 all alcoholic beverage license.
Mr. Dribble, say goodbye.
Second.
Ms. Harrison, she got that one. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right. Next, housing production plan, affordable housing trust. So Irish, we've got, Karen, how are you?
Good.
Very good. Joseph. Right. A lot of backup on this, a lot of it, which is good, thank you.
Sherry, you could get that.
Yes, that's gonna pull up.
All right, now, just before you begin, we always had this rule in here, not a rule, but we love it. Nobody just reads the PowerPoint, because we love to interact and talk. So, yeah, just some of the nice highlights and go through. We'd love to kind of see what's happening. But obviously, if there's something you want to highlight and go through.
I'm just gonna make a brief comment.
Yeah,
first.
no, please, and then, yeah.
Just to introduce myself, Steve Irish, Chair of the Scituate Affordable Housing Trust. We're gonna do a brief presentation for the housing production plan. As you may know, the housing production plan is required to be updated every 5 years and be on file at the Mass Department of Housing. The 5-year update has arrived. The Affordable Housing Trust and the Planning Department, we've had the plan updated with the services of our hired housing and planning consultant who's here tonight, Karen Sonnenberg. Both boards have approved the plan, updated plans for submission. The next step in the process would be for the select board to approve the updated plan for submission so that the planning department can prepare and submit the updated plan to the state by the December 2025 deadline. So tonight we have Karen on hand. She's condensed the presentation because the agenda is so packed. So take it away, Karen.
Thank you very much. Yes. So it is a pretty detailed and comprehensive document. So I'm going to take you through some of the highlights. One, just kind of affordable housing 101. We're doing this plan under housing production requirements of the state, which basically say if you have an approved plan and you produce 0.5% of your year-round housing stock based on the last decennial census, and you can get certified, sometimes called safe harbor, where you can deny what the town considers inappropriate comprehensive permit applications without the developer's ability to appeal that decision. The 0.5% translates into 37 units for Scituate. There are no demerits to not meeting that goal. Basically, the state wants to see, some, general kind of, good faith efforts at implementing the plan, but there are no demerits for not meeting the production goals. Currently, of the 7,484 year-round housing units per 2020 census, 455, or a little over 6% currently are qualified for inclusion in that subsidized housing inventory towards that 10% affordability threshold under Chapter 40B. But there's been some progress. This is up from 7,163 year-round units, 357 SHI units, and 4.98% in 2020. I should mention part of this plan is to highlight the progress that has been made by the town, which really try to emphasize in the document. There are projects in the pipeline, potential applications in the pipeline that should increase the number of SHI units over the next few years. Just some key housing trends. Declines in rental and seasonal housing units. This is not what you like to see as far as the trend in most communities. In 2010, there were 1,132 rentals, went down to 890 by 2023. Likely conversion to seasonal units as to, short-term rentals or owner occupancy. 39% of Scituate's rentals are subsidized. Low vacancy rates, 0% for rentals, based on census data. Prices remain high. The median single-family house price as of the end of 2024 was $888,000. I just checked, and as of the end of September, it went up to $1.1 million. Market rents are also high. If you can, find reasonable rents, $3,600 is kind of the average rent that we're seeing out in the private market. Obviously, housing prices are going up faster than incomes, widening affordability gaps. And correlated with that are cost burdens, where more and more people are spending too much for their housing. And that's defined as spending more than 30% of one's income on housing costs, whether for rental or for ownership. 30% of households were considered cost burdens, and 11% were spending more than half of their income on housing costs, kind of defined as being severely cost burdened.
11% half their income.
11% half their income. And if you look at households that are earning at or below 80% of area median income, which is in these days not chump change. I mean, for a household of 3, we're talking about almost $120,000. You have 56% had cost burdens and 28% had severe cost burdens. So there are clearly people who are struggling in the community. And I should mention there's been some tear down activity as well. And we have some documentation that the building department provided to us in the as part of the plan. Just doing this one.
Go back a minute.
Yeah, go back to, there you go. Just one figure. I know it's hard to see, but this is the distribution of assessed values, comparing that first curve of fiscal year 2014, the second curve moving up the income range at 2020, and thanks to Joe DeVito, we've got the 2025 assessed values also plugged in. And you can see very clearly the movement towards higher values in the housing market. And then 2025, you see that big spike for houses above $1 million. And then the next slide. So priority housing needs, we once again kind of echo the priority for rental housing. Loss of rentals, huge wait list for subsidized housing. Almost all state resources that would leverage local funding for rentals. And then all units in rental developments count toward that housing production goals or through chapter 40B, subsidized housing inventory. But we also in the plan recognize that first-time homeownership or homeownership for downsizers is also something that should be on the town's housing agenda. We also include a reference to resources to help with housing improvements, since so many units were built before 1980. And also kind of stressing the plan, well, it focuses on those households earning at or below 80% of area median income. There's a recognition that those earning somewhat above that are still really priced out of the housing market. So are there opportunities to do some, what sometimes they call attainable housing units? That there should be some consideration for that. Next, I'm just gonna kind of run through quickly. We have separated out the housing strategies in 3 different categories. The first is capacity building strategies. I should mention that the package of strategies included in this plan is really based on previous plans, including things that have been working. The master plan in particular, initial meetings that we had on the plan, input from the Housing Trust. There is categories of housing strategies that the state requires be included in the plan, which we addressed. And the housing needs assessment. So with that, we've come up with these strategies. One is a no-brainer, but very important to kind of emphasize the need to conduct ongoing community outreach and education. Any new housing initiative to really kind of get some public input and address issues out there. Continue to access housing resources. You know, once again, leveraging the CPA funding and the Housing Trust Fund. Particularly, we included a whole list of resources, particularly the Affordable Homes Act, bringing up new resources to housing, as well as other state programs. Create a property inventory, have a better idea of while limited, any municipal property that might be suitable for some affordable housing. Promote a regional collaboration to obtain professional housing services. In the past, we mentioned, we included in the plan to hire a part-time housing coordinator. There have been some models that have been used in other areas where towns have collaborated in reaching out to get those professional services, and those models are articulated in the plan and where they're currently operating. On planning and regulatory strategies, since we did the last plan, the Housing Choice Initiative was passed, which now only requires a simple majority instead of a super majority for planning, for zoning related bylaws that include housing production. So that's helpful, still challenging. Promote greater housing diversity. We're talking about expanding potential ability to create housing beyond just a single family detached homes. And once again, we really kind of emphasize the progress the town has made on the multifamily housing and mixed use front, but there are some other types of housing that with some additional changes to zoning could be helpful addressing a wider range of housing needs. Establish housing guidelines that articulates the town's preferences and priorities with respect to housing in the hopes that developers will respond to those and the town can really enter into a partnership with developers on housing that includes affordable housing through what's called the state's local initiatives program, often referred to as the friendly 40B program. allow starter housing on non-conforming lots. The town actually received a grant in the past to work on this and had made some progress in a bylaw and mapping, which we're suggesting that continue to make progress and to pursue the use of tax foreclosed properties for affordable housing is another one, and while there are probably not a great many of those in the town of Scituate, still to be on alert for those potential opportunities. And then housing development preservation strategies, make suitable publicly owned property available for affordable housing, and they precedent for doing that in the town. And the plan suggests a number of options for development over the next few years on town property or housing authority property. Support private development in line with local guidelines. Once again, kind of emphasizing the town's ability to put together housing guidelines that articulates the kind of project the town would like to see with respect to inclusion of affordable housing through the LIP program, with the Housing Trust taking an early lead on meeting with developers that are in their early stages, the proposal to inclusion of affordable units. And support small scattered site infill housing is another one. Continue funding the small repairs grant program.
Can you explain the scattered site?
Oh, yeah. So this involves being able to, kind of like the missing middle concept you might have heard of, where within existing neighborhoods, besides the single family detached homes, there's opportunities at the same reasonably small scale and potentially with other types of housing to integrate housing and affordable housing as not like a large development, but small infill development. It's kind of like the habitat model, for example.
Would that require a zoning bylaw change though?
Most of the, well,
Most of this would, I didn't know, so the category
If you do
before it
single
seemed like I
family-
wasn't sure about this category.
if you do single family detached meets zoning within a lot and neighborhood, that's fine. If it doesn't meet, then you could do a little lip, or there could be zoning to address some of those types of housing.
And then earlier, so then let's keep going before I forget. The does the ADU take that? Does that take into account any of the starter home on non-conforming lots? Does that help with that? Do we need a zoning change for starter homes on non-conforming? Do we need something? Basically, do we need something extra to accomplish that?
You would need zoning changes if it's not,
We still need a
it's
zoning
not
change.
zoned for single family residential.
We still need a
And
zoning.
there's probably need deed restrictions too.
Right.
It was gonna be.
We need
Right,
to-
'cause you don't want them to build it and they'll be like, oh, whoops, I wanted to build
Such
a
a
bigger
six
one.
planning. Well,
You might need to go to the zoning board too. I mean, but the big thing is they'd have to be deed restricted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they don't count.
It's a challenge.
Which is the problem with ADUs, they're actually, they're supposed to be affordable, but they don't count because there's no deed restriction. And they're really not affordable anyways.
But they still show a need to diversify the housing stock, providing some small rental opportunities that are probably less expensive than the average $3,600 apartments that are happening in the town. So they do serve some
The new
purpose.
ADU law doesn't allow for deed restriction on communities.
No, you can't do it.
But
I'm
still,
saying-
it still would contribute to the rental property bill.
That's right, that's right.
Two different strategies.
Two different strategies.
They can be restricted for short-term rental because that's what our bylaw says.
Yeah.
We are seeing an uptick in the amount of ADUs being, applied for.
It's the overall problem, not the actual.
Yeah.
But they're not affordable at all,
No, they're not
because it's
affordable.
what, 400,000 or more to build a 900
Right, it
square
costs-
foot
yes.
ADU, so renting it out at an affordable rate is not
Right,
viable.
No, but I still think that they tend to be more affordable than the other rentals that are happening because of their size and because they're an owner occupied property. And owner occupants will look to good tenants and,
Yeah.
and
This-
not try
yeah.
to, you
This is
know.
always where like the politics and the bureaucracy, the numbers versus the housing that's affordable versus affordable housing.
Yeah.
It's two different things. Well, listen, you can see a rent for $2,500 or $2,500 one is not affordable housing. The $3,600 one is the deed restriction. But yes, we want the housing that's like our goal is to have housing that's affordable and get to the goal. If we say we just want people to live here. Sorry, I was trying to explain that to folks at home. So sorry, continue.
Well, so we received the planning board approval on September 11th. Both the planning board and the select board approvals are needed in order to submit the plan to the state. So we're hoping to get your approval of the plan. The state typically has 90 days to review the document. But they're turning these reviews around much more quickly, more like a month or a few weeks. So once we get your approval, we'll finalize we'll take draft off the document, we'll fill in a couple of holes on dates and the town will submit it to the state.
Yes, please.
As the liaison to the Affordable Housing Trust Commission, I sat through the full presentation with the planning board and saw their vote. It's a very informed, detailed report. I think there was a good representation side of the critical highlights. It's a strategy, it's a plan. We need to have it in place with the state, so the state respects our performances when we do housing initiatives. So I have no questions. I just want to thank you all for your dedication and work to get this done and to try and get it done on time. That's my comment.
I appreciate all the work. It's an immense amount of work to collect all the information, put it forward in the report. It was an extensive report, and I thank you for that. The only question I have is maybe sort of a blunt question, and it doesn't pertain so much to the submission of this report, which I'm fully in favor of, but relative to our practical concerns with residents over 40B, production in town, and the needs that we have for affordable housing being number one. Number two, to me, what I hear from residents all the time is how do we manage better so that we don't have to constantly have people trampling all over the rules to come in with things you don't really want in our town for these. When we talk about the increase in a year creating, I would call it a short-term moratorium, you have a better word for it, sort of excusing us from the risks of 40Bs infringing on our rules. I don't want to say how do we gain the system properly, but when we are trying to encourage housing to be produced and we're trying to encourage the right kinds of permits to come before the boards so that housing can be produced, preferably in affordable housing or housing that's affordable either way. When we look at those as a town versus as an individual, right, homeowner or developer, are there ways to inform our builders and our residents better of how those are counted so that we can try to permit those in the right allotment of time so that we can qualify for those types of moratoriums and better protect ourselves from 40Bs at a pace? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Karen and Steve might have some comments to this. And one of the things that we emphasized in the plan was for the town to really come up with housing guidelines. Basically informs developers, these are the kinds of projects we want. Doesn't always work. Karen, like, it's like, we need rentals and they come up with condos, but still, for developers, time is money. And if they can come to an agreement with the town, in this case, the select board, and agree on the basic terms and conditions of a project, they can submit, jointly, an application to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. In order to get the go-ahead to submit a comprehensive permit under this local initiative program to the ZBA. That is one way where the town can negotiate and also highlight what kind of projects and where they are. There are examples of these guidelines in many communities that are pretty good models. And I think that that's one way of trying to, with those guidelines, getting citizens input, et cetera. That's one way to try to direct new 40Bs or new development appropriately.
I think that answers part of my question. I guess in even more blunt terms, I think the number you said was 37. In our current housing stock, we have to produce 37 units in order to hit that threshold. That is going to give
A year.
calendar year.
A calendar year.
It's a moving target.
Yes.
And that's my point, is that it's always a moving target, but you're dealing with a disparate number of developers and contractors, many of which are, very respectable, honorable businessmen, but they're all working independently. They're not working as one team to try and hit 37 units in 2026. They're hitting whatever they can sell, whatever they can buy, whatever they can target.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to understand is, it sounds to me like in this you're proposing, trying to come up with better strategies to perfectly legally and perfectly justifiably help coordinate the private owners of land and the private contractors to work together in a community to try and protect what I consider not only to be the town's interest and the residents' interest, but the contractors' interest. Because if we can hit that moratorium, the Toll Brothers and the big builders of the world that can trample all over our conservation rights and all over our planning board zoning rules, and basically blackball our own local builders that live here and work here and build here, to work a little bit more together to try and hit 37 in 1 year.
But you need a big piece of land in order to get that big of a number of units.
Possibly.
I mean, every project that comes in, most projects right now require 10% affordable housing. And we always ask them, can you do rental? Nope, can't do rental, right? They gotta make their profit. If the town needs something from a developer, or if the developer needs something from the town, then we can start negotiating to say, well, maybe if you do rental, maybe we can give you this. I mean, so it's a negotiation. But the developers are, we ask all the time, can you do more affordable? Nope, can't do more affordable. We ask.
No, I know we do. I'm simply trying to understand where our targets lie as carefully as I can so that as we go forward, when we talk about bigger picture strategies, that can be part of the discussion. How do we use a carrot and stick within our own town? But also, how do we try and encourage people to understand just how complicated this is so that there's better incentives to work together, not just to help the town with our public space and our public land and our private residents, to actually help the developers have more access to those few lots that are going to come up for sale, because 40B is going to come up and offer a lower price and a crappier product and kill all of our conservation.
Chances are you'd want to permit them through 40B. It's a sizable property, and that's where you get to the 37, as Karen said. I mean, doing rentals at some scale where all the units count. And if you can get a mission-based entity to actually sponsor the development, you're gonna get a much deeper kind of potential lower income households and more actual subsidized units. So,
Is there, to piggyback off that a little bit, are there any best practices other towns, or does it work if you have like a fast track for a starter home 40 years ago was probably 1,800 square feet. Today a starter home is over 2,000, but non-conforming lot under 1,800 between this, if we can fast track, we'll get you out the door to fast track this developer. But we're gonna get you done quick, but if you want to do anything else, The
Yeah, we
regular
did
process.
some models of, you know, how other towns have done these small pocket neighborhoods where there's a cluster of cottage style,
Yeah,
bungalow style units around a green space that have fit in, talk about fitting into existing neighborhoods. There's some good examples of that. And, you know, 6 or 8, and you could maybe suggest actually looking at some zoning for that.
yes, that's all part of the,
Right, and there's another program called 40Y, which is starter home zoning that the state came out with. They defined this year, and that's also included as potential resource that town should look into. But it's a zoning process with the state to kind of map an area and come up with zoning related to these small starter homes. So there are a couple of items that bear some consideration.
But you do have to remember, town lacks sewer and water infrastructure. We have to remember that.
Yeah.
As we go forward, I mean, trying to expand our sewer and water so that we can expand the amount of affordable housing is paramount.
as
Yeah, that's an
water and sewer commissioners.
Yes.
We're very, and we're gonna fix it, not to worry.
So I
Question,
do have a couple, are the housing, I think I know the answer to this, housing guidelines, are they incorporated into bylaw? Or are they separate from the
They're-
bylaw?
They're usually, the housing guidelines that I was kind of suggesting are policy, not regulatory. However, within zoning, a lot of bylaws include design guidelines
Right.
and requirements. These are more towards kind of the local initiative, the friendly 40B from these kinds of projects that the town is particularly interested in seeing come down.
Okay, and then you list on page 50, I think it was, all of your priority 1 and priority 2 strategies. Is there a timeline on the priority 1 and priority 2?
I think priority 1, we're talking about some immediate attention, implementation over the next 1 or 2 years, where priority 2 from that 3 to 5 year starting with implementation.
Okay. I just happen to notice a lot of priority 1 as discussion, it's a lot of work, right? Like there's either gonna be bylaw changes, housing guidelines, even though they're not part of bylaws, they're like intense policy document.
Yeah,
So it's, I mean, I commend you, it's a lot of work, but it's also like, it's frustrating, I think we're all frustrated with we need 37 units, like to get that passed. And these are like long-term, per year, and these are like long-term solutions, right?
The town will still have to prioritize.
Right,
some of these,
agree, I
you know,
agree, it's just,
strategies
I
and
just would
figure out,
like a
yeah.
simpler solution, but.
But they're good models out, they're good models out there, you know?
Yeah, no, I think you've done great work and I appreciate it, I just think people should also understand that
No, it's
really.
this stuff is not easy.
it's not
It's not
easy at all. And a lot of these changes discussed will require quite a bit of work to make this change.
You know, the towns on the housing guidelines that have made progress have, some of them have like set up like ad hoc task forces where they have representatives of the appropriate boards that sat down together and drafted them. And that's probably the most expeditious way and consensus building way of going about it.
On the subsidized housing inventory, several of these properties are not in perpetuity. Is there a way for us to get them so they will always be restricted or, you know? Some of them are owned, some of them are special needs.
The ones where the affordability restrictions are expiring, the state has a program called 40T that can be helpful. If in fact the sponsoring entity, the negotiations with the town still is basically saying, you know, we don't want to do this anymore, we're going to change the market. There are options of going to this 40T program where the state really kind of identifies a developer who will come in and take over the project and extend the affordability requirements. It's been pretty effective.
But like Kent Village, I mean, how much, there's 4 units, and
That's a really important project for you folks to start, talking to. They're
mean,
pushing for them though, aren't they? I mean,
it says expires in 2033. I mean, that's really kind of right around the corner.
yeah, there should be some discussions about, talking to the sponsor about that project sooner instead of later. And a lot of the, it's when the financing kind of expires, the project will have to be refinanced by the owner.
But what?
Yeah, by the owner of the property.
Yeah,
It's privately owned.
Okay, so it's like a,
The town doesn't have anything to do with that piece of property just because it's affordable. It's Section 8 housing. As far as I'm aware, voucher housing. And so that owner would have to refinance the property to continue.
who's the owner of that?
It's not under our purview.
No, but the town can start talking to the owner and start kind of laying down plans and.
So that's not deep, it's deep restricted, it's not.
only until 2033.
Right, it's gone.
Their rentals.
No,
Potential.
no,
Potential.
potentially. A lot of these projects, the affordability is extended, and the state is very interested in having these, keeping these units,
Especially
so,
those.
yeah. So I would think,
Don't get heartburn yet.
Right.
don't get hard for them, but don't forget about it.
Just one follow-up question on that 37 unit sort of concept. What date does the state use to stamp that exclusivity into a certain year? Is it the occupancy date? Is it the permit date? What date do they use as counting? This one counts for this year.
Permit date. So for example, for 40Bs, it's as soon as that comp permit is issued, those units can be counted. For some units, it's building, it's the building permit. In some units, it's occupancy permit.
But obviously, some
It
projects
depends
take
on the permit.
years
type
to
of-
occupy, right? So
Right, so we lost some units this year because there was a big gap between when the
the law
permit was
is-
approved and when they got their building permit, so
When you
we
get,
lost.
when you get the approval, it goes on your inventory. You haven't been issued building permits 12 months from that time, they come
That's
off
right, that's
until an
right,
occupancy permit is issued.
that's right.
So Seaside and Scituate, Sanctuary was permitted 14 years ago, roughly. It only went on the inventory 2 years ago when they got occupancy. So we
We
got
have
12 months to
everything.
get permits.
We have everything on this SHI that we can. We had a big jump between 2020 and 2025 because all the old 40Bs that were tied up in court for a long time got built. So now they're all, everything that we can, we have on.
I hope you understand, I'm not criticizing anything, I commend you for your work, I'm just trying to clarify my understanding so we could get better
Those
strategies.
So your
But
biggest hope
what's
for
your-
getting 37 units is gonna be Gates School.
I'm already worried about the next 3 years. I'm already looking at what do we do 3 years from then and 5 years from then, and how do we keep this strategy going to get closer to 10% to a permit? But
Right, but I mean, you understand that the numbers change all the time. As you increase the market rate units, your number grows.
yeah, I understand that, but we gotta keep pitching.
You gotta try.
So thank you.
Mr. Chair, motion.
There's.
Yeah, we have to approve it.
Approve it.
I have a motion.
That's because we got the motion. Yes, excellent work. This was fabulous work and all.
And Karen
The
George,
housing trust in Karen, I mean, it was a team effort.
where are you coming from today?
Northwest Connecticut. I sold my house in Boston, so it's like 4 hours to get here, guys. I'm
Yeah.
committed.
Well, thank you.
Well, at least take a cookie on the way.
Such generosity.
And respect for all the, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Do it.
Move to approve the 2025 Town of Scituate Housing Production Plan prepared by consultant Aaron Son of Ward and forwarded to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities for their approval.
Second.
No more second by, Fred, Sladen. All in favor?
Aye.
It's
Thank
unanimous.
you.
Well
Thank
done.
you,
Well done,
it's
everybody.
really good.
It is really good.
Great question.
Take your cookies.
There we go.
Question.
I think I'm gonna take it.
Take it.
No one else.
Please, yeah, please, bring the ice caps, please have them. The little sandwich with the ones that are good too.
Yeah.
Little-
Take
little-
two.
Yeah,
You deserve
Dinner, thank you so much.
You got it.
All right.
It is.
John Honor statue. Who do we have?
Thanks.
Frank and Al, we got like everybody. Whoever is, actually, whoever's part of this, come on up. So this is a discussion on the update on the John Connor statue, just, and I think this, some of you weren't even on the board when this all first started. So it's.
Everybody wasn't except for you.
Except for me.
Sorry, you're the only one.
I'm the only one. Update, let everybody know, we'll definitely have questions, like more follow-up, because we want to have some more public meetings on this. It's important for people to kind of know what's going on, but please, take it away.
My name is John Sheehan, friend of John's when he was at 30 Penfield Road in Scituate. Through BC High, through college in Worcester together, and for the day he was killed in action, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves as well.
I'm Frank Forbes. I was commissioned with John in 1987 and lived in his area then. And had the pleasure of knowing, watching him in action.
I'm Joe Connor Jr., John's brother, also Penfield Road originally. I'm Todd Moline. I was a roommate of John for 2 years at Worcester Polytech. I was also a Navy midshipman with him in Navy ROTC.
Thank you.
One more.
Al Kelleher, one of the board members helping with the marketing and fundraising.
Great, thank you. All right.
I'm gonna adhere to the rule of not reading. So I think one thing that's important is that we want to design, install, and dedicate a war memorial in the likeness of John in Scituate at Lawson. Pays tribute to all veterans of modern warfare. So this originally started out as the idea from Tom Capoletti, our executive director, Air Force captain, was to have a statue of John Connors erected. And in consultation with the Veterans Advisory Council, Mr. Kelly, Karen Canfield, Chris Lassard, Bob, and Kim Stewart, we came to the conclusion that, at their suggestion, that was a better idea to have a statue that honors all veterans of modern warfare that begins actually with Panama and goes right to the modern day. So the statue will not have John's name on it, it's his likeness. The name of the statue will be on it. It's called the lease, which is Latin for two others, with others, for others. The date of case. And I can go a little bit more back to the slide, but that's just kind of, I know it says John Connors statue there, but it's the lease Veterans Memorial statue. Picture of John from high school. And then there's a couple pictures there of John also in high school. One I'd point out is the Dever School tutoring down on the bottom. He was an extremely small person. He's like a superhero in the statue because of the person he made himself out of to be as a SEAL, a Navy SEAL. But he was probably the third or fourth smallest in the class of 400 at BC High when he went in. And he did this tutoring in the Dever School, which was in the Columbia Boyd Housing Project. BC High requires a service that you do a quarter of your time, but he did it before that and after that, and it was the second worst housing project in the U.S. at the time. He had a great dedication to serving the community from an early age. This kind of shows his evolution into an athlete. He was an exceptional athlete, but one that had to work at it to get there. And a leader. So one of the best parts of John's story, if you go to our website, measureman.org, after John was killed in action, Malcolm McConnell wrote an article on Reader's Digest about him, and you can read that there. But John was in a Walter Reed Naval Hospital with an incurable disease, leishmaniasis, receiving treatment, and he heard his men were going into Panama, and he discharged himself. And he was killed in action when his squad got pinned down, and he rose with a shoulder arm missile fired into the hangar, and they took one machine gun round in the aorta. So he died in the service of others. We've had numerous people at our fundraising events that were on the field that day that tell the story of John. And we also had the doctor who came, who was John's doctor, who said, opened the paper the next day and was reading the list of killed in action in Panama and said, John Connors, I have a patient, John Connors. And he called the hospital and said, is he there? And they said, no, he's not there to check him. So that doctor's son is named Connor, and he's a Blue Angel now. So John's example of service has gone on to inspire literally dozens of people to live up to his example. This is an excerpt from his, he was awarded the Silver Star in Purple Heart. In the face of enemy fire, he led his squad in a counterattack. I kind of talked about that. How the group, when we went into Panama, we were expecting no resistance. Unfortunately, there was a machine gun set up, and the Navy SEALs were sitting ducks coming up the runway, and machine gun fire started immediately, pinned down the first group, and they were under orders not to fire. They were just to shoot out anywhere he was playing. But John said something colorful about the rules of engagement, stood up, and the situation ended right after he was killed. They evacuated the wounded, and Ike Rodriguez was killed in action. So when 2020, when most people were tearing down statues, Tom Capoletti called a bunch of people and said we should try to have a statue erected in honor of John in the service of our veterans. And Tom had already gotten in contact with Chaz Fagan. This is some of Chaz Fagan's work. He's a nationally renowned artist, self-taught, graduate of Yale Classics major. He's done Rosa Parks. You see Ronald Reagan. Rosa Parks is in the Rotunda, I believe. Reagan's in the Rotunda. And he continues. We can go to the next slide, which shows some more works. That's actually his concept of the Elise statue for it's a likeness of John. That is actually in period gear. That's exactly what John was wearing that day. We went to Annapolis. Tom set that up, and James Gallagher is a professor at Annapolis, set up a midshipman to research all the gear that was wearing that day. And I think it was at one of the Scituate meetings that said someone saw that picture and said, "Hey, that's not possible. You know, you can't carry 100 pounds." And that's when we had to tell him that it's exactly historically accurate in terms of what he was wearing that day coming up the Pittsy Air Force runway. And I'll just go back to it, like the idea of 2 others, 4 others with others. Chaz's concept is a nation in motion, answering the call. And that's why the granite block that he has it mounted on as a motif of motion associated with it. And that's Boston Common, you know what that is. But you can see it's in Bob McLean, who's on this call, I think knows a lot more about the history of the park, and as do others in the Veterans Advisory Committee. Mr. Kelly as well. I think it's in the concept of a folded flag. Right. With numerous Civil War memorials and other memorials to surrounding the park, the Silver Surgeon, and other service first responders who bring from the national. Okay, this is another concept of the park. We can keep going. I want to hold up. I want to leave lots of questions. More artist renderings. That's how tall it would be. That's a ladder at the height. The last one right before that, there was a ladder. Ladder is, I believe, 14 feet, and that's how tall the statue would be. And it actually kind of bookends the statue at the other end of the park with 2 Medal of Honor winners, I believe, Revolutionary War and Civil War, Scituate natives. Go to the next slide. And the next slide. Just different views. Different angles. You can go to the next slide. I'll explain that. Thank you. It's Neil Armstrong, another one of Chaz's.
this is a project timeline. Todd's, our building coordinator, our construction coordinator is, had a death in the family, so he's at a funeral tonight. But Todd might be able to speak to a lot of the project schedule and timeline as an engineer. Todd's also our treasurer, so we have some questions, but this is an idea of the timeline. We'll go to the next one. In the budget. At million, it originally started at 700,000 in 2020. We started talking to Scituate, I believe 2021 was first one that came to draw. And then 2023, we got the approval from the select board 5-0. And most of our time has been spent trying to fundraise. We can go to the next slide. It's Todd's work. It's a project scheduled by a true professional. Excellent.
Doesn't have an update.
Okay, is that updated?
No, it's not.
Okay, then we have an update for that. Next slide, please.
This is the updated
Next.
schedule.
Todd can talk to that slide, I can't.
Sure, the
No, we
upper,
don't have the updated
No,
schedule, and that's like
It just came in right
not
before.
legible.
Yes, that's
Can you-
it there.
Can you
Just-
send it?
I'll get it to you tomorrow, just came in.
Can you give us a synopsis of what that's telling you?
yes, the upper part it's October 2025, all the way to the left. And those who can't see it, 2026 and then 2027. It shows our fundraising goals up top. To raise money, to fundraise, to purchase the granite. The next item down is to fund, the next items there, is to fundraise to actually complete the statue, payment to the sculptor. And the third set of green, that single green line at the bottom, that is for construction costs. So you can see up top, to fabricate the statue in the blue is the line, is there. Then order, deliver and fabricate the granite. And there's some other, go down. The ones that look like the steps going down is the complete the drawing set. For us to review the drawing set, have the drawing set reviewed by the town. Then after that, it kind of coincides with everything else. Once that is done, we can order the granite and the statue will be finished. And right now, it looks like everything should be done pretty much by the end of December. All drawings, procurement of materials, procurement of the statue, the granite for the pedestal, the stone, the big rock you saw, should all be done by the end of 2026, early 2027. And for the sake of weather, we're looking to start construction probably in April of 27, the beginning of the construction season of 27. So you see we have up top, fundraising efforts, and that coincides with the amount of money we need to have on hand, for instance, to put a down payment on the granite, a mid payment, a final payment, same thing with the statue, then have all our funds on hand when construction starts.
All right, so all the green is fundraising, the money, and then first, because selfishly, something if we care about the town sides of the first construction or things that are necessarily town related. I mean, you gotta purchase the grant and other stuff, we're not.
Exactly, yes.
So that would be 2027 April-ish, right? Yeah.
Yes, that would be like, you really don't want to start this in November, December. It's
Eye testing there, but sure, yes,
I can't
okay.
read it.
Okay. We'll make sure you get a copy of it.
I think it'd be best to have a copy because the project schedule we have in here
It's old.
has closed out on 2024 when it would be constructed.
Yes, that slide should have been in. That was from very, very early on.
No, yeah, please, yes.
How's the fundraising going? That's the most critical part for your entire
Yep.
success.
Yep, so as of today, we have, we've had numerous events, kickoff parties at Cheaper Tavern locally, then we have a gala alongside the Constitution. We had 300 people there, I think, and then we had in March 8th, we had an event at the Kennedy Library. And the barking crowd, yep, a very
Festive area. I don't know, let's not disparage.
Mr. Kennedy, who's a part owner, donated everything, he donated the venue, the food, drinks, truly profit motive and the staff. So it was a very generous and successful event. And so we're at in the bank today. We have 182,000. we have $100,000 pledge, we have 3 fundraising, smaller fundraisers, dinner meetings / personal meetings, potential donors to get us there. Some in this community, some in New York City, some outside of New York City.
We've already spent
Wait, can you say that again?
Right,
You have 182,000 of the,
no, so we've been paying for, we've been, we have $80,000 has already gone to the sculptor. We have a whole list. Todd can tell you, he's the treasurer, he can tell you most of this.
We also have, well, some overhead expenses also, like insurance.
yeah, I think you
Things
have
like
that
that.
on a page, it's just not clear how much you've raised of the total
So
of $1 million.
We're roughly at a 650, roughly 2/3 the way there.
Is that money or pledge
no,
That's on hand.
on hand?
If I take that back, there is 100 of it is a pledge, the rest of it is actually we received.
that donor wants to be the capstone donor. He's a classmate.
He's a classmate of the ROTC midshipman. He said, once you get to the last 100, he's going to give us notice. Once you get to the last, where you need to be, he's going to donate the last 100.
I have one other question.
Oh, yeah, please.
On one of your slides, you say construction budget includes landscape maintenance in perpetuity. And then another slide in your actual budget, you say maintenance costs for 18 months. So that's something the town would be concerned with. Whether you're raising funds to maintain this forever or for 18 months.
I believe our construction director, who's again not here, I apologize, has had conversations with, I don't know, was you there, Jim? No, no. He's had previous meetings.
I can speak to that.
Yeah,
I think typically it's either way. Anytime you have a construction project and say, we're going to maintain something for a period of 18 months or 2 years. I think what we had discussed, and it's up for discussion with the town also, would just give you a lump sum amount. And from that, I mean, I think all it's really going to take is to mow the lawn around it, but you do mow the grass in the park anyway. Maybe every so many years it's going to need a power washing. I mean, it's bronze and granite. I mean, it takes any special treatment, so we can just give an upfront payment and the town could hold that.
Is there electrical and lighting included?
No, there's no lighting.
Okay, so that was a mistake on the
Exactly.
site work.
The only thing that would need, if we did specific plantings around it,
Right.
then we would need to, we don't get off the lawn, so I think that term, we don't mulch, we don't do those things. So if there was decorative plantings around it, that would be the maintenance of that. We would hire someone. We have a contract now, but that means someone to do the mulching for that stuff. But otherwise, the DPW's out there mowing anyways.
It's just not electrical, and I don't.
I think it'd be like the other statues and monuments that are in the park. I don't know how ready those are maintained.
Well, that's,
There's no landscaping around this drawing anyways. It's just gonna be a.
It's just grass, yes. We'll restore the lawn and make sure it grows back and you'll maintain it for about a year just to make sure that the lawn around it, the grass around it, the landscape around it is, does come back to what it was, to the condition it was.
no, I asked because we have other monuments there that need maintenance, and we're trying to raise money so that the veterans of Vietnam War's names can be legible. So there are costs throughout.
Excuse me, but on the Vietnam that you just brought up, one of the board members, Kieran, is working with getting the plaque all redone at our cost for you.
That was.
That's coming.
Great.
Yeah.
It's in the foundry right now. It should be done in a week, so.
And that's not cost to the town at all, that we'll take care of that for you.
That's nice.
So a couple of questions. First of all, thank you to John for his service. Thank you to you for your service. I want to make sure that anything I ask right now please understand, I'm trying to ask questions mostly because I'm new to this process. It has nothing to do with my utter respect for our veterans and the alive and that are gone. Both my great-grandfather, my great-grandfather's brother, my grandfather and father, 7 of my current cousins are all serving, so I have utter respect for our veterans service. I don't know if this is a better question for Andrew or Jim or for the committee, but since I'm new to the board, to this point, what has the previous board that you worked with already promised or guaranteed, or are there any promises that have been made, Jim, so far from the town? Because I don't want to
Yes.
change anything from previous decisions, and I don't know all.
I think the board gave them go ahead to go and raise the money and they put the statue on the top.
Okay. Because one of the questions that was brought to me recently, knowing that this meeting was happening, was a discussion that some of the board members on the Historical Society.
It was approved on April 23rd, 2023, the location on the common.
Okay, and that's answered my first question. My second question was that we were talking about maintenance, an important question that I had as well. I think we sort of just answered that anyway. But in the current plan, there is no sort of decorative, it's just a statue on granite, right?
We have a couple of benches, I could not clear at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they did,
Cost.
when they did research on this project, though, they looked back at the records from Thomas Lawson donating this land, and his description was pastoral land with trees. That the gift of the land was not for excessive plantings. Sorry for.
No, thank you. Thank you for helping me.
I absolutely support this. And I look forward to you guys reaching your fundraising goals so we can do that and honor John and all of our heroes.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that we thank this group for their efforts. It's a good update. Perhaps we get something on the schedule for an update, because we've got another couple of years to go. So maybe welcome you back, another 6 months or 4 months or something, to give us an update of where you're at. Where's the granite coming from? What kind of granite is it? Because
it's the same quarry that the artist Chaz uses all the time, and it's a specialty quarry in Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine with you.
I probably should set this up a little bit. I'll get to quickly and then, should have set this up. The longer this goes, you guys are in it, some of us were in it, we're seeing it, and, once you know something, it's great. Longer things take, the public is questioning, what is that again? How tall is it gonna be? They're good questions, and so that's why we wanna make sure the public knows what's happening. If you have questions, what's it called again? Where's it gonna be? I know we have the information available, but there's no local newspaper. We wanna make sure people get everything. So we wanna make sure that we have more opportunities for folks to get more informed and ask more questions, because it's just, they love park. We wanna make sure that it's meaningful to them. So we just wanna make sure that as this continues, that we make sure that, because we all forget. That's all. I just want to make that part of,
I just say 100% agree with you, and anything that you think, if we miss not as outside the local community. We went to Heritage Days, we went to some of the Chamber of Commerce meetings, but anything that you can see where we can inform the public and get this support. I don't think anybody wants, we certainly don't want this to pop up on the comment and have somebody say, how come I didn't hear about this? And any support we can get from the community, because it is we hope it's going to be something that will be cherished about community for years to come.
And when the final drawings are done, also the final renderings, and we can use it to go.
One of the things we thought was important when I talked about 6 months ago, when you just look at a picture of the statue, it does look massive. Which is why we asked, put something out there that's gonna show how big it's gonna be on the common, which they did with the ladder, so you can at least get a size of the scale. Because just looking at the statue, it looks like it's a really big statue. You put that reference on the common, you can see how it's gonna blend in.
Sure.
Yes.
I would suggest perhaps some type of a nice four-color market piece that we could make available here in the town hall and also at the senior center.
Oh, look, he's got one.
But these should be available to people in the town.
I would offer, if you like this, that I would print them and provide them at no cost to the town. If you would look that over, you could call me up, send me an email, and I'd be glad to print whatever you need and supply
Yeah,
it
it's
to
just
the
a
town.
Look at that. I love it.
That's a true Marine right there.
We will
Something
take,
like this is it's gonna be, and you might you'll probably pick up some other these pieces. But I'd say at least senior center and here in town hall, and perhaps wherever else we should put them. Library, thank you.
all right, we'll take some questions. I think that's a question from the public. Ma'am, yeah.
My name's Sally Maish, I live at 300 Beaverdale Road, which is right on the common. My family's been there for 80 years. And over the last 100 years, okay, the town of Scituate had a vision to put and hire Olmsted's company, which is, as you know, architects, one of our founding landscape architects for the country. They had that vision to hire them to produce a park in their vision, which was to make it as natural a setting as possible. That's what Olmsted always did. Since then, the focus was on the Civil War Memorial and on the elephant fountain that Thomas Lawson donated to the town. After a lot of arguments between giving the land, taking the land, buying the land from the town. Over the 80 years, our family has watched numerous boulders going around onto the property for over 200 names that are etched on those boulders all around the park. Those that have sacrificed not only in the country, but also police department and fire department. What I commend the town of Scituate for is that in doing so, they put everything on the periphery. So that when you're on the outside looking in, you still have that beautiful landscape of the Civil War Memorial and the elephants. And the garden club's garden around the elephants. And as I watch every day when I have my lunch on the porch, and longer if I'm reading, you see literally 100 people that walk around that common every single day. With their dogs, without their dogs, with their children, on the park with their children, playing. Not only just there for Memorial Day. You see artists that are there. You see people that just sit by the elephants and just reflect. My concern is that everything was on the outside, the periphery. It let everything still be beautiful on the inside. So when the time comes, I would hope that the select board would consider an alternate spot, whether it's on the periphery or in a whole different location altogether. And I talked to a couple members that live around the common, and we don't have many, there's only 6 houses on the common, but I've talked with 3 or 4, and they are concerned about where the placement is chosen. Thank you.
There's someone else? Sorry.
Jim Linsky, 30 Holland Street. I'm a vice chair of the Historical Commission, I'm active member of the Historical Society, or Lincoln Committee, I'm an author and historian. I guess I'm here to speak more for the whole historical preservation community in town. I have 2 issues here. One is certainly not with the fact that this should be a memorial for a very brave person. I'm not dealing with that issue at all. He is worthy of some kind of memorial in town. The issue is with the appropriateness of the statue in that location. readings from government go into this, government documents from the Historical Society in particular, but also on the Historical Commission. It's basically just an inappropriate statute for the location. I walked around it again today. There's mostly granite statues that are made big with a plaque on it to everything from Vietnam veterans, Persian Gulf veterans to Civil War veterans. A big statue that was what the park was founded for. It's going to be one of these in every town in the north. And it's a sacred place. Recognize people that made contributions, including some of them in their lives, in the service of the country and the town. And that was its intent, and hopefully will remain that. There are no statues to individuals on that park. There's no statues of people with weapons in active stances. There's Civil War people have their rifles by their side. So that's one issue. The other issue is the process. I have the minutes from the May 24th, 2005 Select Board meeting, where they discussed the statute memorial to James Dillon for his service in the Vietnam War with the Distinguished Cross for saving the lives of 2 people in this platoon company. I'm just quoting from this minutes of the meeting. One of the select board members said we should have a policy in place to properly that request for memorials and Lawson Park. He suggested that Mr. George Story, supervisor of buildings and grounds, be asked to draw up a policy, and that there should be some continuity as to the size of the stone and its placement in the park. This is 2005, 20 years ago. And later on, he says he believes that others will come forward asking for memorials at this location. And I think this is the first one since then. And a Lawson Park policy needs to be in place. And this is the first stone that's been dedicated individually. This is the second stone. This is, well, I guess,
So I guess my question, 2 things. One, in the opinion of the Historical Society, you said the location, is the Vietnam Memorial, is that an inappropriate location?
Sure.
So that's inappropriate, we should take that out. How about?
No, it's
inappropriate.
So that's appropriate. So where?
The Civil War
It's right
line,
behind
which was
the
really
school.
objected to when they put it in.
I just like, so where, so would it be appropriate anywhere on Lawson Green? I'm just trying to get clarity on your position where.
The way
I understand, like periphery, I understand that, that's clear. Thank you, I
Well,
understand
I'd
that,
rather see it somewhere else, but.
right, but periphery, so where, in the minds of the Historical Society, where would
I
be
think the
appropriate?
Circle Society made a suggestion to place it somewhere near the senior center and
Veterans Gym.
So nowhere on Lawson Green, but Vietnam, so we'll have them all over the place. So the Vietnam Memorial, I'm trying to figure out where you would want it.
It's only one
Mr. Chair, we already voted for it to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the decision, I'm just.
It's a granite stone, it was gonna have a new plat, it was great, if you can't.
And there are cannons over there, right? I mean, that is a. Anyway, you're saying there's no other guns or any other, I'm very confused.
Well, the difference between.
This was, when I put this in, the consensus was to bury it upside down.
I guess I don't-
felt it was so ridiculous.
Yes, sir.
My name is Vic Fontaine, I live 52 Pinoak Drive, I'm a 20-year veteran of the Army. I carried that rifle for 20 years as the infantryman. That rifle being carried that way is in the safe mode, it's just when you're walking. It's a statue, it's not real, so why are we making it a big deal over this rifle? We have cannons, and we have real cannons in the common And the Historical Society has a real cannon in front of their building, you drive by it facing your car. To me, that's offensive, because it should be facing up here. So there's a lot of back and forth about what we should have now. And I lived there 20 years, and we had, this man died 30 years ago for his country, and he did nothing in this town for him. And we just keep on going and going over and over every time we have these meetings. It's very frustrating as a veteran that we don't honor this young man. So I'm just a little, just going back and forth about this. So I'm passionate. I am the Veteran Service Officer in the district, the Barnstable district. I work with 15 towns, and no town have I ever had back and forth about putting statues and somebody killed in action.
Mr. Chair. Chair.
Yeah, here it is.
Can I remind everybody here, it was already stated earlier today that the statue is gonna be in Latin, Elise. That Mr. Connor's name is not even gonna be on this statue. So this is not just a statue to, or with, it's inspired by Mr. Connors. But it's really done in a very, it's a to others, for others, with others. That's as far as it's gonna attribute. This is for all people that served, is what I understand it to be.
All right, ma'am.
I guess from where I'm coming from is, you've got the natural beauty of all these boulders that is for every conflict and war that we've had in the last, since Civil War and World War I. So I would not want to see anything like take away from that as far as the symmetry goes and the beauty. My thought was at the Veterans Memorial Gymnasium would be a beautiful place for it because it recognizes all veterans, not those who have sacrificed their lives on there. Since this is not in his name, I also suggest that there be a boulder placed somewhere in the common that can take care of those kind of conflicts and maybe future ones too. And have memorial names there etched as well, and still have what they are proposing, but where the veterans is, where all veterans are. And that's what this monument is supposed to be for, all veterans.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
Clear, thank you, that's very good, it's clear. I'll open up to anyone in the Zoom land, internet land, we have one, we'll come back, we'll do Bob, and then back over here, so Bob, Zoom land, and then we got someone here in the audience, so Bob first.
Mr. McLean should be able to speak, just your name, address, go ahead with your comment, thank you so much.
Hi, Bob McLean, 155 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. Just a couple things regarding the both the placement of the periphery boulders and the overall intent of the park. So when the Olmsted and Associates were hired to formalize the park, it was formalized as a war memorial park, with the World War I memorial being the first emplaced memorial, because prior to that, the Civil War Veterans Memorial was already up, I believe. I think it was about 10 years before the park was formalized as Lawson Park. I agree that like the original Olmsted documents talked about the War Memorial Park with more trees and more kind of naturalistic beauty. However, the basis of it being a war memorial park, what they wanted to do is interspace memorials to, different periods of warfare that looked like they were made by humans. And that's kind of like the Olmsted philosophy. If you go back to like the way that he set up Central Park in New York City and the way that his design for the Columbian Exposition in 1893 in Chicago, it was to have natural beauty with interspersed things that were definitely known to be man-made, so statues or plinths. In fact, I think he'd probably be turning over in his grave hearing about, 5 or 10 different boulders around the periphery of the park because it doesn't look natural if you're setting up a boulder wall. And he also didn't want to have memorials look like carved into rock. He wanted them to actually be statues. So that's the other thing. I agree. For the original concept of the park itself, the boulders in the original concept would probably be interspersed more, not randomly, but at least like put more aesthetically and not like aesthetically within the park itself and not around the periphery. But anyway, that was just the original concept for a war memorial park that had naturalistic beauty, but also had memorials to the different periodic wars that come up. So just something to note for that. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Gentleman right here, yes.
Good evening. My name is Liam Slane. I'm a 17-year resident of Scituate. I served 30 years on active duty, and I don't find a problem with what the community has decided to this point. I respectfully disagree with my fellow citizens who have spoken out against the location. I think really what this comes down to is the definition of respect. Do we respect service? Do we respect the collaborative process to decide? We can go around on this. Do we respect elections? Let's just think of where we're at in our country. We need to be less divisive and we need to be more inclusive, and that includes veterans.
Mr. Chair, I don't think anybody is talking about overturning the decision of a previous board. This has already been agreed to and voted. And all I was respectfully looking for tonight was an update as to where the status is of this project and how it's going forward. They're in the air.
I think it's also important, like, we do projects all the time and ask questions all the time.
That's fine.
You don't just do one public meeting and, there you go. I mean, this is a long-term project, and it's really important to talk throughout the project.
Absolutely.
And that is just like the senior center, it is just like the old gate, it is just like Mordecai Lincoln. It's not just, this is gonna be a statue, so we're gonna have one meeting and be done with it.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting they come back in 5 months for another
Right,
update.
and we have an entire different board since the last meeting.
Yes.
That's how non-transparent we've been. So I think we could work on communication, so that there are no surprises.
I'd like to just simply add to Susan, I agree, I respect your sentiments, sir, but I don't think anybody here has disrespected each other. I don't think any of the residents that are opposed to the placement disrespect John Carn's memory. I'm gonna assume that, I certainly don't. And so as we said at the outset of the meeting, I think we're doing a good job of having a discussion and respecting each other. We're allowed to disagree. I thank you guys for being here so that we can take that time to do that. It's probably a frustrating process. I have to imagine even if you're shaking your head politely, it's gotta be a frustrating process to try to work so hard for years to raise money for a good cause. And I honor that. But I appreciate your time so that we can all be on the same page.
Yeah, I was gonna say how well everyone, because I know for a fact no one's trying to, it's the location. And that's where I want to make sure people are heard about that. And yeah, I know all these folks, they want to honor the legacy. And I want to hear those concerns. And yeah, there's no proposal tonight for them to say, oh, we want to move it somewhere else. No. I just want to hear and continue to hear from folks what their thoughts are. This man and then over there.
Jody Dugan on 45 Bullitt Street, and I spoke the last time we made the vote, but John's definitely a hero. I have a lot of heroes in my family who are veterans, but this presentation was about John. And so my father was a veteran, and he was on the USS San Diego. I can go to San Diego and see his memorial and touch his name and hear and see his name on a memorial. And my kids who never met my father can also. So who are all these other people who gave their lives in Scituate that are included in this that name? And why aren't they on this memorial. So that's, but I feel like it's to one person and not for all the people to pay their time.
I think I remember there was some talk about a veterans wall, that was, under consideration. Yeah.
American Legion goes to. And, they have a problem raising funds for
Thankfully, the list is not as extensive as other wars. We have had residents, but thankfully.
Is it future too, or is this to now? Because unnamed, right, would this be future?
Hopefully there are no future ones, but.
Well, no,
Supposed to
the
represent-
unnamed
yes,
wars, that's all we do is unnamed
Yeah.
wars right
It's supposed to represent anyone who served since Vietnam. There's no memorials on the common,
now.
no.
And future, right?
So it would cover anything in the future too, because the last one we have is Vietnam.
No,
Correct.
that's wrong, there's one for Desert Shield,
There
Desert
is, but
Storm
there's-
on there too.
It's all. And yeah.
So it would be future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless, who knows, right, but there could be a terrible.
Names,
Right.
then it would be something fun to put a name on.
Select,
Josh Summers, I'm a veteran agent in town, I'm not a Scituate resident, but what I do deal with is many veterans that are still passing away. We had one last week, a Scituate resident, a young man. So they still do happen. You might not know about it, you might not read it in the paper, they're still being buried. It's the global war on terrorism that's been going on since Desert Shield, Desert Storm, 35, 40 years now. So just because it's not called the Vietnam War, World War II, or the Revolutionary War, we have to have a rock to symbolize it. At least memorial is sort of capturing all these people. Yes, John Connor's name is in his likeness, but there's many other soldiers and sailors that have been given their lives recently as well. So go by Cudworth, you can see unbroken ground all the time.
I don't want to drag this out because we can have this debate forever, you're right. What I'd like to suggest is, since this was never done before you guys voted 2 years ago, that we get together and talk about this in a much more in-depth manner. It's the people from the historical commission, somebody from the historical society, people from the veterans. Sit down, spend some time, and talk about what if we can come up, maybe we can't, but at least we'll be able to sit down and talk without wasting everybody else's time on this. And that process never took place before. You guys, well, in fact, the historic commission found out about this after you took your vote. And you asked us to come up with a policy for future memorials, which we did. I don't know what happened to it. So that's the process is part of talk. So it'd be great to have a discussion with everybody who's concerned about this. See if we can reach some kind of
Mr. Kelly.
common ground.
Mr. Kelly.
Joe Kelly, 16 Town Lake. I'm here basically for my son Michael. He was killed 20 years ago in Afghanistan. He never came home. He represents what I consider the 9/11 fight. He went into the service because of 9/11. He didn't want 9/11 to continue in our country for 20 years. It went to other countries. Can you imagine the devastation we would have all had? In Scituate, handled all over the place, all over this country, like they had in Afghanistan and Iraq. The bloodshed and the misery that went on, it still goes on in a lot of these countries. So I agree with you, sir. I do agree. I was involved in this from the very beginning. We had a public hearing in Iran. And everybody was invited. We had well over, I don't know, 150 town residents at the meeting. We told our story, or had them tell their story. They really didn't talk too much about John, although they had to mention why the statue was going in and how they're raising funds. but we talked about the people that served our country. And to prevent the atrocities that happen in a war from coming in this country. It didn't happen. So to put up a little, as far as I'm concerned, a 14-foot statue in honor of the people that serve our country, not necessarily that killed in action, but all veterans that serve, that's what it represents. That's simple. Now, where we're going,
Mr. Kelly.
I'm the chairman of the Veterans Advisory Council.
Mr. Kelly, just address to the board.
I'm sorry.
You should not be addressing people who make comments.
Yeah.
You need to address.
You can't hear me?
No, I can't, but you're supposed to be.
No, you should address the board.
The board. That's all.
Okay.
Just
Yes,
we're not
we can
being.
hear you.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, you threw me off track. So, anyways,
That was the goal, Jim, to kind of throw you off.
so I think I made my point that I'll leave it with this. The Lawson Common is, as far as I'm concerned, first of all, it's shaped like a folded American flag. A folded American flag. How does a folded American flag happen? Usually happens when a veteran passes away, it's handed to the spouse of that veteran. And not necessarily a veteran, it could be a police officer, it could be a firefighter that lost their life. So this common is designed by the people that believe that it should be for people who served, veterans who served. Most of them, even the police and fire that are in that common, their names are on that common. I bet you 9 out of 10, they're veterans also. So I can't see why we're having a problem with Historical Society and the members in the town there by the common where it's being placed. It's a veterans common. That's where it should go. Thank you.
So we're gonna end it here. I gotta say this, everybody take a deep breath, because I want us to think as a community the blessings that we have. So number one, with the folks concerned with and I'm not real good questions and concerns about placement, historical questions. We're a group of folks trying to do something absolutely incredible, raising so much money to honor a hero. We have questions about how to best honor our veterans, and we've done it through good constructive dialogue, which is amazing, right? Other cities and towns who are dealing with much worse problems than this. You know, we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna make sure that more questions are asked there. But these are good issues for us to litigate. So I want to thank everybody for having that discussion, because it's important, it's critical, and I thank everyone for the great work you've done and great work.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk to Jim about return.
And just let us know what you'd like us.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna get some photo renders. Thank you.
And now we get to the problem.
We're taking a 2-minute recess. Sorry, Nancy. It's 8:30, we are back. Sorry. It is
8:31.
It is 8:31. Just want to make sure this is recording.
It might die,
It says
battery might die.
stop that. There we go.
There we go. Now we're recording.
Just saying, not a tech, but I got it.
Let's get a little,
All right.
good time to do the budget.
We're back in session overview of the FY 2027 town operating budgets, recommended budgets.
So for your consideration, I'll give you the FY 27 overview for the budget for next fiscal year. The good news is the budget's done, balanced. There are no layoffs, there are no reductions in force. Don't do that. This was a challenging budget to get through. I think you'll find out the departments come in. But we'll be able to get to another year without having to go back to taxpayers to ask for more money, despite some real high increases in fixed costs. So we'll start recapping fiscal 25, which ended June 30th. Fiscal 25 ended well. We had our very last free cash that year. A lot of turnbacks from town departments, which is a good thing. And our receipts were very healthy. So fiscal 25 ended in very good stead. Fiscal 26 right now is tracking on projections, both spending and revenue. So we do expect fiscal 26. Barring anything unforeseen, I mean, we do have some of the cutbacks from the federal government. They're going to trickle down to the state government. We'll see if that trickles down to us. But right now, we are still on track for fiscal 26. Fiscal 27, super profits increase of 2.5%. New growth at $700,000. That has been tracking down over the last several years as the large projects in town like Seaside and Scituate, the project at the Green Bush, the Stockbridge 40B, those are all wound up, so that growth is now gone. State aid, we're projecting a 2% increase. We've increased our local receipts by $1.25 million. A lot of that is your meals tax and your market tax. Financial forecast has met twice. The validated vote these budgets will meet again once the governor's budget comes out in January, and then if necessary, we got our actual healthcare increases. Where's the revenue come from? Revenue comes from the taxes. That's really the biggest driver. We also get our local receipts, state aid, and then our enterprise funds bring money in also. Again, property taxes, 8% of the town's budget comes from property taxes. Keep going, yes. This just shows you the new growth numbers, what they look like. 21, 22, 23, new growth was substantial. Now it's down to 700,000. It's a big drop. And Joe DeVito's doing a great job to get that much new growth. So it's for the new members, you start with your base from the previous year, times 2.5% plus new growth, and that becomes your property tax revenue figure for the year. So when that number is high, obviously it gives us a lot more money to go in the next fiscal year. And it compounds when you start with the base figure from the following.
And
So presumably assessments are still going up though.
Yeah, assessments really have nothing to do with growth. Growth are things that start getting built and come on the tax rate after we've set the taxes. So if you start building a house after July 1st, we pick that up and we calculate what that's going to be. What happens with when values skyrocket, the tax rate comes down. The town doesn't collect any more taxes. It's just a mathematical formula how it's divided.
Oh,
we got, the new regulations so they can do an addition. Explain that,
You can't
parts.
count
that
So
you can't count.
Used to be things like
count
roofs and
certain
things like that, that we would count as growth in the state, and so you can't count that anymore. That was $100-something thousand, I think Joe calculated. That's
what they can do, right? Certain aspects that we can no longer.
like renovations.
So if you look, there's like $1 million lost.
The phrase question, in the times of my career where the tax rate from year to year has gone down because values have gone up so high.
he's inverted.
So the higher the value, then it's just total value with the total spending, you get the tax rate. So the value shoots up, tax rate goes down constantly. So you have tax bill on a $1 million house. Actual local receipts over what was budgeted for 26, what was budgeted for 27. One of the big drivers of that number from FY 25 was investment income. That has already taken a hit, it's down. We collected it, we are still hitting our projections, but it's not coming in what was coming in.
Sorry, Jim, you're talking about our investment.
Our investment, yep.
As interest rates come down, also hurts.
Pam and Nancy do the best they can out of the structure of the state law to move that money around and get the best interest rates that we can. Also, your permits are down, penalties and interest are down, so those numbers are trending down again. We're still where we need to be, but we're not gonna hit that high number that you saw before.
Jim, can you go back to, you don't need to go back to the slide, but we were talking about the new growth of those figures for the last 4 years. You project the next 2 years at 1.1, that's just a holding low conservative number.
700,000 the next 2 years.
You go look at the financial forecast and get it up.
I'm talking about the new growth figure, we were up at 367, we're at 228.
The percentage?
Yeah. This is a conservative holding number that you're throwing out. I just wanna make sure that, okay.
Even though we've expanded our local receipt numbers for this year, especially meals tax and things, we're still concerned. The budget is designed, and when we get to the end of the year, then we are in the black. That's an important thing. It's also designed that the state in the mid-year says, well, we're in a bad way, we're gonna cut local aid. But we have enough flexibility in the budget that we don't have to go back and say, all right, we gotta cut budgets, we gotta leave it alone.
How good are we with short-term rentals and stuff? I'm assuming that's like a room tax, right?
Provide, say that's done through the state. The state collects that, send that, goes to the.
So the state tracks those?
If we get calls,
Track who's registered,
if we get a call about
whether
it,
they
we'll,
send their tax money or not.
we'll find out, and if we find out that they're renting or they're not registered,
It's
we'll
like-
time them up. We'll tell them top gravity, we have shows up, it's not registered.
Yeah, all we put those in register. But even if they register, they could only just find that they rented it for 1 winter. All year.
On a while, in Scituate.
Yeah. For 25.
One night.
Yeah.
Right, no, I'm just saying, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's, I totally agree, that's a place where we could get more. If people were 100% honest and everyone was registered.
Well, it's
Yeah.
No one's honest on your taxes.
They're not, I mean, it's the same when someone goes in and does the, renovations, they say what they're gonna spend.
Keep going.
Anyway.
Nope, happy, it's easier to do while you're thinking about it than to try to come back to it. So the budget, as I said, is balanced, the new positions funded, there were 8 requested, including 5 for the police department. No layoffs, but any position that we did not fund for this year, people ask for those back, they're not getting back. And that's the director of planning position in Nancy's office, position that we put in the building office to focus just on enforcement, and the position that we have for communications. Recording secretary, I get that.
What did you say? They're not for this year, but they're not coming back next year either?
Correct, they removed it from this year's budget,
Or fewer full-time employees.
they asked for people out, well, if,
They're unfunded, the
Right.
positions
This
exist,
still
but they're not
exists.
funded.
so if somehow we had a
A lot of state aid.
windfall of funds, I don't think I'd bring them all back because it's not gonna last, but we would consider that.
But it shows that we're being prudent, right? We didn't fill them, so.
They also aren't hiring any teachers or police officers or firefighters.
No, we met with the school department, they should be okay with what they have now. What they're getting is part of the school financial focus. So I wouldn't say they're happy, but I would say they'll be okay. Finally, this is like the 3rd year in a row, foreshore and roads that is in the budget has not been funded, that's $400,000. Town has funded that from our solar and wind we had last couple of years. That's strictly going to be our board, but given the closest to the budget, $400,000 is a lot of people, basically. If you look at our budget, it was about 80% of its people. So when you get into the budget, you look at the budgets, you can see that it's modest. Not a lot of expenses. Just a couple of nice charts that Nancy likes to do, we won't spend a lot of time on these. Fixed costs are important. Pensions continue to go up, they'll go up to fiscal 31 when we are scheduled right now to be fully funded for the Plymouth County Retirement Board. Health insurance, right now, we have a 7.5% increase factored in there. If you recall,
It could be worse.
last year, we switched from Maya to Mayflower, and our increase went from 17.04 to 6.5. So, if we can get 7.5, that's really pretty good, despite the fact that it's really
Mine can be higher.
pretty high. And then the Votech school assessment, just popular, Votech's been popular, our numbers are up. That'll continue.
That's not a bad thing.
the VOTAC, did they validate those numbers? Remember, were they discussing that they thought that there were some return students? And the numbers might not be correct.
The school department was, going to check the count as to when they were making the count, but the number that, the enrollment went up came from the superintendent of social work.
Okay.
I'll say.
Alright.
Yeah. Just some quick math, property taxes go up 2.7 million, new growth 700,000, just fixed costs was $1.3 million. Big chunk of that goes to the school department and our split, and then the rest comes to us. We did tell all departments, to give us a 5% cut, just in case. As you can probably guess, most of those would have been personnel. We did it, when I first did the budget, I did cut some money from the beautification committee, that was put back, okay? Just so you know, that's put back. Financial forecast meets on a regular basis, 2 members of this board sit on it, myself, the financial team, schools, finance committee. We go through and we work together to get those revenue projections. We also do the fixed cost projections. Then when it comes out at the end, we split between the school department. This year it's gonna be 66-34. And then we go to work. I gotta tell you, the other places I work, it's a great system because you're not fighting with the school department that we need a teacher, we need a police officer. It's really, here's the money, here's your part, here's my part. We're gonna make it work. We do have a lot of discussions about those numbers, but I think every vote we've taken has been unanimous. We do come to agree.
Thank you, school committee and Tom Bradley, everyone. It's great.
As part of my learning process at home, I got to meeting with school committee members, and they're very, I don't want to speak for them, but they're very happy about the same cooperation. So it's really great.
So this is the math we were facing, financial forecast by 25.9 million, departmental request for 27 point, almost 28 million. So we had a lot to go through. Right away, anybody who was asking for new things, those were gone. That's still left us with a lot of ways to go. And we've done it. I think one of the big things you'll talk about, EDC always got their money right off the top as part of the financial forecast. I've eliminated that this year. My recommendation is going to be they have $30,000 on the EDC stabilization fund. We'll do an article at town meeting to make up the balance for $18,000. And then after that, EDC should be in the budget. It should have to compete with everybody else for their money as opposed to being a separate entity all by themselves getting spending money off the top. We're not in a position anymore where really anybody can do that.
What is EDC? And like, I know they like pay for like police officers for like fall for Scituate or something like that, but what else do they give their money towards?
They help with the website, they do some marketing, they've done a couple surveys of the business community, but a lot of us is trying to support those.
The local pop-up events.
Yeah, local pop-up events, and they'll be in.
Loves on that. Town meeting, right, today. Right. Like you said, at town meeting will be a way, an opportunity to.
Yeah, an article to keep it whole for fiscal 27.
To keep them whole.
And
Okay. Top will do it.
then for fiscal 28, as I said, they should be in line with the budget and we plan whatever else has to come. We're gonna cover most of this one, pop on the next one. So these are your personnel requests, 5 new police officers. This continues to be as a result of police reform, where we can't use part-time officers that we used to use because they don't have the correct certifications. IT has asked for a new position of facilities, new position of the fire department, and change and take up the police department. Those were all not supported by me. If you're on those inside drive, you'll see we have an engineer that spends most of his time on the seawall project. It's taking up a lot of our time. We have submitted all the paperwork to get the continuation of the FEMA funds for Third Cliff. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, of course, everything's in limbo, but we'll see. So that's the town budget. Again, balance. Nobody's walking out the door. Nobody new's coming in. Sorry, new positions, but we are balanced. And it's going to continue to get challenging. Good news, widows walk's fine.
You're making money.
they're in good shape, they're making money, Ian and his staff are doing a fantastic job. It continues to be a.
That was always the case, my understanding, right?
They lost money a couple times. Yeah, the town.
Ran deficits 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's good, that is good.
So.
It is really good news.
It's in great shape.
No, it's a golf course,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
Yeah, so it's again, it's pays its own bills, it contributes back to us what it owes us, and you know, the ancillary benefits of people coming to town, playing golf, and maybe going and have another drink, having some dinner, spending some time. I think it's fantastic.
And then when they wanna do something, they have money. So they don't.
There were a couple times this year where I was really contemplating making condos, because I was just so mad.
So mad that you like.
But really, the golf course is in good shape, and that's another year or 2 years on the.
3 to 4.
I've been the restaurant.
Okay.
Restaurant.
1 more year.
So that will be coming up, we'll have to bid out the restaurant session again.
Oh, they only had a lease for 3 years.
They have 5. It's a 3-year, we extended it, so it'll be coming up again, so.
They'll probably go for it again, because they seem to be doing all right.
I think they will, but, given the popularity of the golf course, I'm imagine someone who's gonna offer more. I mean, I'd love to keep them, they do a great job, they work great with Ian, they work great with all the groups, but we deal with Mass General Law and whoever's offering us the best deal, that's where we're gonna go. Waterways Enterprise is in good shape. They are supposed to be coming back to you to look at their rates and how they're gonna do with their rates. I guess the shoulder season they did this fall was actually pretty good. They made about $9,000. The shoulder season, so that's good. But they have some big projects coming up,
They do.
so they're gonna have to start looking at their rates. Again, an enterprise account, fully self-supporting, it doesn't get any money from the tax dollar. Water Enterprise was challenging this year, their costs are going up significantly. They asked for the return of 1 new position, a treatment plant operator. They would like to bring that position in because we'll need it when the new water treatment plant goes online. I've only recommended that for half a year. Treatment plant's done, that person will come in and they'll be able to help that plant running. We made significant reductions in that budget, but it will still require 3 to 4% increase to meet current recommendations.
Where does that hole exist?
The cost of chemicals, the cost of electricity, the cost of gas, or just the operating costs of time going up.
Yeah, electricity alone is up 20%.
Yeah, we do have some contractual obligations. We put some license stipends in those contracts to keep people from leaving. A water treatment plant operator, or wastewater treatment plant operator, they're almost impossible to find. So we have to make sure that we're competitive with those.
And we have a really good.
And when you talk about a 3 to 4% increase to remain self-supporting, you're essentially just talking about the homeowner.
Our bills.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And are we not doing any water main replacement? We didn't do any last year, right?
Yeah, we've done water replacement almost every year.
It's not coming.
Oh, yeah.
There's one going on right now, they're bidding out, trying to get some work out for next spring, including, they're gonna take some of the money they have and start the water main project we talked about. Do maybe about 1,500. I did not recommend additional water line work in the capital budget for next year, because I think they still have about $7 million authorized in projects that they need to get going.
Okay.
On top of the money, the water treatment plant, on top of the new water treatment plant, so it's really becoming, in my opinion, a bandit issue. They need to catch up, spend what they have.
Money that they're just actually doing.
It's better than the alternative, right?
Yeah, I know, much better.
Transfer station, doing okay, all in costs have been the bane of our existence, they keep going up. We're gonna keep monitoring that right now, we're in good shape, but we'll have to take a look at that in the spring. When we get to, towards the end of the year, so we're looking at for hauling numbers. Right now, no increase at that at this point.
Good, is there a way to explore, just to throw this out, because it really, causes me great concern that we have this great facility designed to accommodate the entire residencies of the town. Yet I end up getting behind these waste trucks that are also coming in. So there's people that are opting out of using the transfer station for whatever their legitimate reason is in their mindset. But these guys aren't recycling. And they're not contributing to the support of the municipal transfer station. So is there a way that you could, if you bring down the cost of every family involved, but every family has to be charged? Then if you want to, you could do your private sector stuff, but then why can't you require the private sector guys doing business in our town to do the same level of recycling that our transfer station requires?
That's something we've been trying to figure out, Jamie, because it can be cheaper to have someone pick up your trash if you don't have to recycle.
Correct, that's what's going on.
So it would be.
It just clogs up the goddamn, pardon my French, it just messes up the streets. I don't know whether it's causing more accidents or whatever, but you get behind some of these things and it's crazy. Especially at school hour days on the busy roads.
Well, but your first point, I think, is not, I'm all over recycling. And she had somebody come to the composting discussion earlier last week, but your first point about the value of efficiency at scale is that if you have a third of the town using private garbage pickup instead of using the transfer station, it's making everything more expensive for everybody else. At Walmart, not.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is the biggest expense at the transfer station is the hauling cost of the trash, so the more people that are using it, the more cost you have to get rid of the waste, so would there be enough people to offset that? I mean, we're getting a couple people that are paying the ticket, not throwing much away. So it's, someone from Norwell said, hey, I think we can use a transfer station. I'm like, yeah, after on the math, it worked out, yeah. But Norwell's gonna be putting in a $500 cash.
Go past it.
So
The alternative is also just not have transfer
Yeah.
station, force everyone to have private.
Yeah.
You could go either direction.
And then we can put affordable housing all over the old town.
not if it's the dump.
Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah, I know what's in there.
I'm not sure we want to start digging into that. But this is the hard one, sewer enterprise. The big problem with sewer enterprise is for years we've relied on connection fees to make up a big chunk of their revenue, and we just don't have any sewer connection fees.
Did we price people out by raising it?
There's no development.
There's no development.
On this.
Where the sewer is, yeah.
Is that like
Everything's
14,
slowed
oh, 16,000?
Everything's slowed down.
There's just not a lot of development in the sewer area because there's not a lot of places to develop. For ADUs, if you have a detached ADU, we require you to pay a sewer connection fee. If it is an attached ADU, it's going through the county, we do not. That's what our policy is.
Is that the same with the water connections for the ADUs?
Given that we're about to build a whole bunch of ADUs, due to new laws, wouldn't that be a simple way to improve our cash flow to the sewer?
If we start seeing them and they're connecting to the sewer, yeah. I think they've permitted 4 or 5 so far.
There was like 4 or 5
Couple
in one meeting.
But that number is lagging, it's causing us potential issue this year's budget, cause an issue in next year's budget, so we couldn't be needing a significant increase.
Currently, the North Scituate sewer system would go online in 29.
Yeah. In that area, yeah.
And when that sewer system goes online, are all the people that are going to attach to it need sewer connections and therefore incur a large number of sewer
It
connections?
would be part of the project.
It's part of the project.
And part of their budget.
Unless you have a new construction site, it's still not gonna.
Now, all of those users will now be
Paying
paying
fees,
for.
they're paying fees, but they're not paying connections.
And you don't have to connect, right? You have to pay the benefit, but we don't actually have to connect, so.
I'm sorry, for clarification, I apologize for ignoring.
Okay.
When we moved in, it was right when the train came in and Route 3A became on sewer. We had to connect. We had to pay the betterment, we also had to connect whatever it was, 3-year window, right? So why is it that they don't have to connect, just out of curiosity?
They do the same thing, they have time to get, they have to get that way.
So they will have to connect
Eventually.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, there's an opt-out if your septic system is within a certain age, you don't have to. But before my time, I'd go back.
Great, did we ever, I think we talked about it years ago, like someone comes in with a septic permit, and want to put a new one in or replace it. Oh, well, you are near a line to offer them. You're-
If there's a sewer available, they are supposed to connect.
There's-
Right, if the Board of Health is supposed, you have sewer available, you have to
You
connect.
gotta go, okay.
Where you get into is when we have some of those. And I really like the one up Beaver Dam is the best example, right? You know, my family house, needed a connector, we gave them a connection. The day after we approved the connection, they sold the house, tore the house down. House, a big giant house. So,
The short story, we actually we will have enough capacity with the plants, and we need some folks.
so we've come to capital plan, I did a,
Not for,
No, I'm saying, well, that's if you added 10 homes, you'd still do that. Which is 200,000. 10 houses is not gonna go this over. No, it's not even close, it's like dropping off.
I did a wonderful presentation that was very engaging, would have loved it on capital already, so with that. You know, what's looking us in the eye, continued fixed costs, I mean, pensions. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for pensions, again, supposed to be fully funded in 2031. The light at the end of the tunnel for health insurance needs to be an oncoming train. Don't know what the solution is for that, I honestly don't. We'll continue to work on it, but that's gonna take, state and national solutions, but. Just
Move forward.
yeah, I mean, the cost just of GLP-1s for weight loss next year is estimated almost $50 million. It may not.
in the whole health, not in our town employees.
No,
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
health.
The whole,
Ours is only 7.
God, no.
Have some more. I need to really forget about it.
So, no Scituate Sewer is a big project, the water treatment plant is a big project, we continue to work on those. Townwide maintenance facilities have been great, we're doing, I think, a really good job maintaining our buildings. The issue with some of the buildings are just DPW, this building, another building, it was just old. DPW maintained, we continue problems.
Old is good.
Yes, Jamie.
Happy birthday.
So we'll continue to work on that, we'll continue to keep funding the facilities plan. Cam does a fantastic job, he really has his staff, is just outstanding, taking care of this place. But this is gonna be a challenging budget year, you're gonna hear a lot of, so I wish I could, but. So, we can't.
No.
And just for the new members, when you talk about the budgets, it's a zero-sum game, so if you wanna put money into a budget, we gotta find someplace to take that money from. Because the bottom line doesn't change. Happy to answer any questions on one of the specific budgets that I'm covering tonight. First one is your budget and my budget, an overall increase of $23,000, 13 of that is for staff, it's everybody in the office. Cost of living adjustments, step raises, things like that. And then our purchase service went up $10,000, we are replacing the phone system. Phone system is no longer supported, so we're putting in a new phone system, there's a $10,000 cost of that for the IT cloud-based VIOP phone system. I don't have to tell you how wonderful your staff is, they're fantastic. I don't know, this is like a couple. Shout out to Jen, they do a great job. Jen's position is supported by the Maritime Center budget, she handles all that stuff. Shari works field and Michelle is, that's going on.
Sure, works with people.
She works field, you work with people. Advisory committee, decreased, so you'll right by that. Nancy does the voting secretary, so we took those numbers out. She sends all the print stuff to Plymouth County Correction, which saves us money. We do have to up at $10 more for the Association of Non-Biased. The next budgets are all budgets that are fixed cost budgets under the Finance Forecast Committee. So we will set that way. Reserve fund, no change. So the reserve fund is controlled by the advisory committee of the select board. If the department has some extraordinary cost that they didn't anticipate that they can't fund, they can come and request that the reserve fund give them some extra money to fund that. We don't hit that too often in the course of a year.
We're gonna hit it on Monday.
Can you give an example of what's coming up?
On Monday, it's a security, issue that has arisen, we have the marrying of two HVAC systems with the building maintenance system.
It's just something that came up this year that needs to be handled right now.
Yeah, they tried to, there's a cost saving measure in it, it can't be undone.
Only so much duct tape that WD-40 will do in the day. General liability and property, we have a 5% increase in that. We met with our advisors that we think that's a pretty good number right now. That number will increase over the next couple of years. As the new water treatment plant comes online, that'll have an increase in our value and then the new school gets on. Right now, 5% looks good. Streetlights, no change. Workers' comp, we reduced by 25,000. We're self-insured, and we have money in our trust fund. Employment, no change. One of the issues that you will have if you start saying we're going to lay people off, that'll be $2 you lay off. You got to put $1 in your unemployment fund. So the ability to lay off $3 worth of people to get savings. And right now we're not. So the unemployment fund wouldn't change. And that's the kickoff of the FY27 budget.
Right.
We're starting some of these cameras, there's not much we can do with property insurance.
These were the easy ones.
Yes. Questions, comments, concerns? Right. Thank you.
Very
Good
comprehensive.
start, I know now we're in the.
This will be posted on the website, so you can look at it. You start having the function next week, Sharon?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Have a cookie.
Cracks
You
down.
have the treasurer collector's budget.
Yeah, so you start having budget.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. We're on to leases. Historical lease.
So you already reviewed the historical leases, and they went out to town council, and they also went back over to Scituate Historical Society for their input. What you have before you tonight is after both of those things have been done, town council looked at them, decided with Jim, after he reviewed the recommendations of the Scituate Historical Society, what to add into the duties in these two leases. So this is the man house lease and the lighthouse keeper's lease. And this would be the format for the Mordecai Lincoln property caretaker's lease. And that comes when it becomes available to be leased. So what's in yellow is just specific to the property, and then in red were the things that were added. There's only one thing I just have to check with town council is I added that sentence, there are 3 for rent. I just need to see if that can stay there, if that's struck.
I have questions. Specific to the added duties, right? I don't have questions on the other stuff. That all makes sense to me. We're looking at 2 leases. One's a lighthouse keeper, and they're both reduced rate. Like this is a great deal to be living here in these houses. The lighthouse has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 additional bullets with things that individuals living there need to do, including well-versed in the history of the lighthouse, open the lighthouse for tours, well, and it goes on and on. the man house, there's nothing but keeping a vent clear of snow.
The
So,
man
like,
house really isn't a caretaker position, it's just a tenant.
So they're just a tenant, they're
Yeah.
not, like, they don't have to know anything about the man house.
We raised our.
How do we decide, like, what has some sort, well, shouldn't someone know about the man house?
But people aren't necessarily, as compared to the lighthouse where people are up there all the time and basically knocking on their door. People aren't pulling into the man house driveway and knocking on the door of the man house saying, can you tell me the history of the house?
Might be one of his.
When what?
They might be, I don't know, like.
Why are we renovating that one?
Why are we renovating it then?
No, that's the
That's the
basement.
back house.
I mean, but I thought we were renovating the man house too. My kids go to the man house.
Cudworth is on the special town meeting.
Okay, so that one is not a caretaker, it's just you live there for a reduced rate. Okay, and nobody goes to visit it.
They do open it up, I think, 6 times a year.
Somebody lives in the cupboard?
No,
No.
man
No.
house,
Oh, man.
lease is for the man house.
Man house.
Yeah.
Now you know why there's a master spreadsheet for this now.
So no one goes to visit it ever.
No, they have,
They
We
sent
don't
those out.
open it,
No, we do.
and
That's
there's,
it. It's the only requirement that it be open.
and it's just, it's the
it's
apartment, it's
not
not.
in there.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Wait,
I
that's
think
not a
it's,
requirement that it's open. There's a requirement, the
So-
tenant shall keep snow free of gas furnace vent that services the house.
That's important.
yeah, we
I'm
lost,
not saying to get rid of that, I just,
we lost our 2 Situate historical people.
okay.
Yeah, but my recollection of the man house is that this is the apartment at the man house and not the full man house.
It's the portion of the house.
Okay. So I guess when we set the rates that they're low, plus they're doing stuff, was my understanding. So if we have one house that they're low and they're not doing stuff except clearing a vent,
They're not in the whole house.
They're in an apartment.
well, then Mordecai Lincoln won't be in the whole house.
Yeah, but they'll have a house to themselves.
They'll have responsibilities
the
related to the
property.
property.
Yeah.
Okay, just doesn't seem like the rest to me.
I understand what you're saying. I understand that one of these is not like the other.
One of these is not like the other.
I
Yeah,
get that,
but one of those properties is not like the other.
That's,
Looks fine to me.
that's the apples.
Lighthouse is the most visited place we have in town.
It's also the most historically, it has to be represented, and Mordecai Lincoln may go that way too, because there's a lot of history there yet, but I don't know it yet.
It's been busy, I think it's gonna get busier.
I just think if someone's doing stuff, they should get a break versus if they're not, maybe it's a different route.
I follow your point and I agree with you.
You're giving a break.
My
This is
my
not-
discussion to it would be that they're in a property that's not their fault that nobody is aggressively facing them. I don't think there's that much else that could really be asked of them to do at this point. And so the only discussion would be, do we really wanna raise the rent because there's not much to do? And they're not getting the use of the whole house. The only value they have, I think, there is that it's actually a much more private historical space than the lighthouse keeper where there's
So-
people driving in their windows and all that.
Two separate discussions. Board has already set the rates. This is to clarify all the leases.
No, I understand.
If you wanna have another
Speaking
discussion
to
about
the-
the rates, we can have that. This is not so much the rates as we're trying to make sure that you don't have one lease, you have another lease, you have another
Yeah,
lease.
this,
Or nobody's.
I have no issue with me, yeah. I have a motion when you want it.
So what would you wanna add to that, to keep it open?
No, I just like,
9 days?
I don't,
I mean, if that's not in
it
there, right,
just
where's the
seems
9 days?
odd to me that we're having someone live on a historic property and we're not mandating that they know anything about the historic property, all but one. I just thought that the things that were written for the lighthouse made sense, and I was thinking, oh, those are things we'd put on the Mordecai Lincoln lease. And then I got to the man house and it was like, nothing. So, it's not really others, and, you know, if you wanna approve it, we'll be done with this, that's fine, but it just doesn't look like.
no, it's not.
And I don't think
Be
it's
done
the
with it.
intent, I don't think it was the intent when we set the price.
I suppose my question would be, if we were to take the exact same language from lighthouse and apply it to the man house. For one, they don't have access to the whole house, so certain things like you can't use the fireplaces, et cetera, they don't actually apply because the apartment doesn't have those things. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with having a well-versed history of the property you're living in, I have no problem with adding that language. And I don't know that the man house, it does get opened at the historical days, I believe.
6 times a year.
So it's already happening, it's just a question of.
It's open and usually there's a person from the
There's
historical
volunteers
society
that,
that.
volunteers.
So it's
that
not
are
the
assigned
tenant,
to it.
it's not the tenant.
So
No,
if-
volunteers.
So if you wanted to set it that the tenant has to respond the same way, I don't think I'd have a problem with that, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I would rather yield to what the historical society has already dictated, because they understand the intricacies of this better than we do. I don't even know, do we know what the history of the man house is?
I don't.
Thank you.
I don't, but that doesn't mean.
No, it
that doesn't
is.
mean
I went with
Susan's
the third
point.
grade.
But are we,
It's like-
but are we trying things that don't really apply to that facility, and why the historical society has decided not to have those in there, I think is probably why, although that's conjecture
We
purely,
wouldn't know, because they're not
it's conjecture.
having a conversation.
Do we need to approve this tonight?
No, but you should approve it because we have to give the leases to the tenants so that they can sign them, so they'll be in effect
How
January
long is
first.
this current lease gonna be for the man house?
January first, it's a year.
It's a 1-year lease?
Well, that,
Are we meeting next week or not?
you meeting on Tuesday?
Yeah, you have a meeting, you have a town meeting on the 3rd, right? And then you have a meeting on the 4th.
No, it
Just.
So,
So what would be missing, the historic knowledge of
Could
historical-
somebody inquire from the historical department or committee or commission, whatever their lofty title is? Are they missing something in the man house lease similar to the duties of the lighthouse? If they're not, please tell us why.
they were the ones who provided the duties for both properties.
I understand that, but what is the reason for such a light duty for one versus a intricate duty for the other?
Because
Can they advise us?
the man house does not have a caretaker, it has a tenant in the apartment. Whereas the lighthouse has a caretaker.
Well, then you're answering my question.
But the other, to Susan's point, the lease can be changed at any time. So if there's a change in tenancy, you can redraw the lease. So if the next tenant of that property could then have duties added to it that the current tenant does not have.
And we're working through a 1-year lease, right? This is-
Yeah. According to town council, this was basically a month-to-month
Oh,
lease.
at will?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why I wanted to check that one sentence that I put in about the rental increase on January first, to see if I threw a glitch into his document. If that was the case, I'd take out that one
Yeah.
sentence, and we would just be
I'm
notified.
ready to give a motion then.
But there's one other question before the board. Up until now, the Scituate Historical Society has been the ones, because they are they control the properties. They're the ones who have been leasing the properties. So that was one question we had, are we taking that back over so that the lease is with the town and not with the Historical Society? And 2, they wanted to know who is picking the tenants. And I think from Jim and I's perspective, it's procurement issue.
Who's they, this historical society
Yeah.
wants to understand.
Because right now, the way town council drafted the leases is that the town is in control.
As it should be.
Yes,
This is, I.
What?
Why are they not here having this conversation?
they were here,
Yeah.
but they have since left.
I feel like it's a, like a
So
deeper
then, okay, so
conversation.
let's just,
All right,
you
let's
want-
9 o'clock.
let's just bring them back next week, that's all, bring them back next week. It's that easy.
We're talking, we haven't had leases like this in 10 years. We wait like 7
So
days.
November, it'll be November.
4th.
Bring them back.
Done.
Motion to table this until November 4th.
I'm being difficult at 9 o'clock. It just
All right,
makes
let's
no
go on to
sense.
the Community Choice Center. Good news, we're saving this money.
So, Jamie, you're the historical society liaison, right? Who's historical?
There is no historical society,
There's a
liaison,
private.
the historical commission,
So-
I am the
so-
liaison to the historical commission.
Well, if we're gonna bring him in next week, we should probably give him a chance to understand why we're bringing, discuss it.
Oh, we can. Nancy can communicate that accordingly.
Yeah, I had a meeting with them this week.
Yeah,
That's
And I'm sure
We just
Bob and
have
Gigi are both gonna be at town meeting.
we just wanna get this right,
We're
that's
just
all.
dotting our i's, we're gonna bond, them in next week, we'll give them a little time to make sure they have a week to understand.
Or they can send a letter.
No, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine, or they can send a letter and we'll do it, and they'll have to vote with or without. That's all we can do.
Damn
All
right.
right, give us the good news on community choice. They came to us, this new group, that we can save some money, right? This is a little different, so explain that. And, go from there.
Yeah, we're always looking at this, we had a company that came, actually looking for us to lock in almost a 20-year solar project. As we looked at that, Nancy said, well, we should speak to this other group, because they do some other municipalities, we went and talked to them. And we came up, they came back with significant savings over what we're currently paying. And we went into the aggregation with everybody else, but just like everybody else, if we can find a better rate, we can get out to one of the better rate. So we're recommending that we go and take the better rate. That's it, in a nutshell.
This is a two-year term.
It's a 4-year term.
That was good.
I'm sorry.
It's 4.
48.
Yeah, I think you, in your physical package on the table that you have a new one.
It said 48 months.
Yeah, 4 years.
I just did my math.
So we're locking in
4 years, right?
And so the residents have to opt in, opt out again,
This is just-
or is
this
it
is
the
just
people that
for
are
us.
already opted in?
This is just municipal.
This is just-
Oh, municipal, sorry.
This is just,
Okay.
just the town,
Yep.
And
again,
we're
they came
doing-
to us.
And we're doing the same with the school, as I understand,
So
right?
the default rate, the residents are still doing better than National Grid, so they're still making out on the aggregation rate. But any resident who wants to go out and solicit and do all the work, they might be able to find an even lower rate than that. And that's what the town, you know,
And usually people, if it's, things are tight, people should look, make sure you get the best deal.
they are still,
Agree.
they are still saving out of the aggregation rate at the town.
So it's the best, and then we can, so we're locking in the savings.
The motion, you want it?
Good?
I'm good.
Move to opt out of Scituate Community Choice Energy and award a contract to BP Energy for a 48-month term at 0.1292 kilowatt, cents per kilowatt hour.
Correction, 0.1289.
No, he's right, he's right.
Oh, look at this, I'm looking at this.
I know,
I didn't know it was on that.
Mr. Chairman.
I told you, I did, I told you the same.
It's late.
You need to put
We had to get our lock-in rate.
3 hours ago.
Yeah, right.
I second Jamie's.
Thank you, Nick.
The corrected number that Jamie said, not mine. Moved, seconded by Nico, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Somebody be
Union Cemetery.
So we're rolling along very quickly. Last meeting, you adjusted the Cudworth Cemetery fees, which made them more expensive for veterans than the Union Cemetery fees. We just asked you to make it equitable and increase the Union Cemetery fees to the same amount as the Cudworth Veteran Cemetery.
Can I just ask you where the Union Cemetery is?
Where the dead people are.
It is,
Is it the one on Man?
no,
There's no
it's near
availability.
Stockbridge and Meeting House Lane.
There's no availability.
Civil War. Yeah.
On Meeting House Line, it's behind Jack.
It's like behind
By the park.
Stockbridge, yeah,
Across from the
like you
park.
go back where you're parking, where you're not supposed to park for.
All right.
It's across from the park.
Motion?
It's next to St. Mary's Cemetery, but it's not St. Mary's, yeah.
Yes.
We don't do that.
Yeah. Meeting House Lane and Vinyl.
Cemetery,
That's
cemetery on one side, meeting house, there's a cemetery.
Meeting House and Stockbridge and Sedgwick, yeah.
It's two cemeteries, it looks like one.
Oh, that's where it is.
Okay.
Motion, Mr. Chairman?
This makes sense, we need to have them be equal, yes.
Parity.
They're all the same.
Parity, parity.
Here's the money.
Motion for parity.
Yes.
Move to increase the rate from $100 to $150 for an urn burial and increase the rate from $100 to $300 for a full burial at Union Cemetery.
Second, Laura, seconded by Schlegel, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm taking a cookie.
Disclosure. Yes.
Oh, I know. Okay.
All the paperwork's in order though, I looked at it. It was page 292 in your packet.
Correct. Right, so this is just, we're letting William Yance work for both the rec department and the school.
He's a
Part, yeah.
teacher. at
Teacher,
school.
right, wants to
This is
teach
very
something.
common.
Yeah.
A lot of times people can't do these second
You wanna teach
jobs.
these?
Oh, he's a substitute.
Yeah, and he also wants to work. Motion.
Yeah.
You can't work for two town departments at the same time without filing disclosure and getting permission.
We get a ton in the summer.
Motion.
Move that the select board approves the following 20B employee for the recreation department and the school department.
Second.
William Young.
Moved by Chairman, seconded by Nico, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
That's all.
All right, now I'm
So
up.
Andrew added something for, wasn't on
I sure did, because
last minute.
we talked about it and we're gonna do it. So,
What?
survey.
It's
Communication.
in your packet.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you printed too.
It came as a separate email.
For town meeting, we're gonna do a survey, QR code, asking people on certain topics.
What?
No, they've worked on the Mordecai link, and we got a ton of people responding.
They're gonna scan a QR code when they walk into town meeting.
If you want, I mean, they're not gonna force them. But, yeah,
Where you can go online and do it.
yeah, we'll have a little sign, so. And then after that, we'll send it out for a special. Yeah, the one in a week.
Next week. Yeah.
So the question
This is being
is,
posted on our website.
it will be,
It'll be blasted out too. Jim will,
Yeah.
it won't just be open next week, we can have it open.
yeah, it's not like a one day thing. We'll have it for a
It's
while.
a good turnout.
When you're at town meeting, it's all good, because you're sitting there waiting. It's
Turnout
up
will
to
be-
you. So the real question is, are these the types of questions we want? Do you like these questions? Am I missing anything? Do you want something? And the verbiage, and also the order of these usually are randomized too. So I'll go through the questions, review. So this is the town's top priorities. Okay, road, sidewalks, beach access, sustainability, that sorts of, or others, we're trying to get.
You know, the madhouse.
Do you know what the man house is?
I don't know if I love the environmental sustainability and water quality, I don't think those are necessarily the thing.
All right, so separate those out.
Separate that, that's easy.
Okay, good.
Good suggestion.
All right. Town services, satisfaction. Right, transfer station, public works for maintenance.
You didn't specify what's better, 1 or 5.
Yeah, yeah, don't worry, that'll be clarified.
What about transport?
5 is best.
Like sloop,
Yeah, that's a
MBTA,
good
whatever.
Good one, slow transportation.
What about down on the waterfront?
Yeah, what about beaches?
Beaches, I like
Or
that.
I also thought about open space conservation land.
Open
Like
space.
technically that's
Okay.
it is, I mean,
We've
and we've
said
been
that.
spending money
That's
on
action, though.
improving. We've been spending.
What
money.
we call that trails.
Trails, open space conservation.
All right. Good.
Public use of public land.
Yeah, public.
What about the harbor, you know, the docks and harbor master services and all that fun stuff? The price of a bag of ice.
Well, yeah, okay, which are other harbor?
It took them 3 years to get to determine the price of a bag of ice.
What about,
want that
the
cookie,
golf
don't we?
course?
Oh.
That's a
Golf.
town, that is a town service. Right.
That's good. That's a good one.
What about why is there no lettuce at Maria's?
That'll be the final.
Oh,
That's a
Fire
fun.
service.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It does, if you-
All right.
I really want to stir. it.
Parking and do we want to get into parking and traffic?
No,
No.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have
it's
to,
very important.
like,
Okay.
why?
You
Nobody-
think Rosedale?
No, let me stop.
Nobody understands it.
Well, I heard a big no.
Nobody understands it.
There's 5 people.
So
on
you're
the board.
asking people to comment. I don't know.
The reason I say no is because all you're asking is for an overwhelming number of people to give you a negative answer. You're not actually asking a
Feedback, though.
specific question.
Okay, so if we had a
maybe
specific
the question should be more specific and we break it out.
All right.
Where is the worst, where do you identify the worst parking?
And also
No,
where,
I would say
where
opportunities for,
greatest traffic hazard.
There we
Streets.
go.
oh, there we go.
Now remember, listen, this is the first, we're gonna have another survey in the fall.
Survey says.
We can do worst intersection.
We have both, what's the next one?
And best.
Three
Man-
is gonna win,
Manhill in 3A is gonna win,
Man Hill three is.
Sure.
and then people are continually amazed when I tell them that the intersection with the most accidents in
Right
3A is
here,
the one that's
right
second.
here.
So on the
Okay.
left, one of the like,
All right, flush that one out.
But Booth Hills is close third, right?
Booth Hills
It's
was
been
taken care of to a large degree when they put the light at Henry Turner Bailey.
If we do too many, people are gonna get bored now.
I agree. I think you should break this down to 5 questions only.
Well, I guess, Andrew, my suggestion would be if we're gonna do a series of these,
Yeah.
then do them topics,
Yep.
right?
Yes,
All right, so
Open
let's.
space,
What are we
recreation,
talking
business, just hit up specific issues for each individual.
Didn't the EDC or somebody just do a business or that was just
Just
for
businesses.
businesses?
There is an MBTA survey
Alright.
out that the town should be getting involved in, and that's filling it out online for the water taxi
Oh,
information.
that's the one for the ferry though, right?
Yeah,
It's the
right.
same.
Yeah, that's the one they're asking.
Alright, so
for.
then with that, I'm gonna propose that we kill open space and economic development.
Good.
I'd like to keep communication and engagement, just not the how people consume.
I would
For
agree with
our, just for our, you feel like, oh, I get everything from Facebook.
I like communication engagement.
And I would
Especially
kill zoning on
the website,
3A.
schools, we go to the website.
Yeah, kill
If
the
we do
zoning.
communication first, then that tells us where to put the
Kill
survey.
Pier 44 redevelopment, we already got that going, it's already done.
I don't wanna know where people are at. Gates.
alright,
Old Gates, we don't have anything back yet, so why would you buy, well, we have that.
I wanna see where people are.
cause we see.
They're right where we left it, and nobody's had anything to say about it because we don't have our, we've got the agreement signed, but we've got nothing back yet, so why bring that up until you have something come back? And then you can put that out and say, this is now what it looks like, this is, yes, it's 120 parking spaces, no, we shouldn't have to rearrange the
So,
field.
so I think my thought on, I asked Andrew about the redevelopment question, the point I had about redevelopment of Pier 44 was, we're not talking about other options, it's gonna be a park. But I.
You've already just got all the permits,
I know,
But the point that he made to me, which I understand, is we're gonna still have to carry whatever the final number and authorization is through a public meeting. And if we're gonna do that, it's nice to know whether we have a lot of support or whether we have a lot of negative headwinds. And so I understand, I think we wanna reword that question to sort of not so much support this proposal as much as, do you, I'm not even sure how to ask it, but do you like the idea of creating more park space with the Pier 44?
Why would we do that until?
So here's what, I'll tell you exactly, here's the deal. Forget the questions, think of the result, okay? We get this back and we learn that, oh, transfer station has a 3, library has a 4, what are we gonna do with that? There's some things you go, okay, maybe the library never likes it, we have to address it. If we get that and everybody thinks zoning on 3, if we get 90% of people say we want businesses on 3A, that can affect how we think going forward. If we come back and see that 80% of the people think that Pier 44 redevelopment is a great idea.
It already has been agreed as a great idea.
It doesn't have, the people have to still vote on it twice.
They need to have the final presentation, you're asking an open-ended question
Yes.
based on nothing that
Correct.
they've seen recently.
Right, so
So
if
the
90%.
answer is gonna be prejudicial, it will not be informed. so it's an artificial happy answer. I don't think you should
The
have
people
it.
at town meeting giving you an opinion if they support or don't support your for.
They supported it to the extent that we finally completed all our permits. There is a drawing, there is a rendering. It can be done in phases. Have you seen it lately?
Are you gonna be nervous if we get it back that 90% or 80% of the people say, I don't like this?
I'd rather it be a focus. I'd rather it be properly timed. If you're gonna ask those kind of questions, make sure the committee that they're working so hard on it can get out and get everybody up to date on it before you ask those questions. Because those are uninformed responses.
It's been,
Maybe it tells us we need communication.
Right.
If we get that, but I
it's
would.
been
kind of-
3 years. I don't know how much more time people need.
I just saw a whole presentation on it at CPC.
So
Have you seen it?
I did, yes.
We absolutely need
Yeah.
better
Can I
communication, I
ask-
think that was one thing there. Can we not call it Harbor downtown, please? It's the
Yeah,
harbor.
it's offensive to the North Situate. Anyway, I find it very offensive when they. Okay, can I ask one question about the,
Sure.
this whole page?
Yes.
So we go from like a 5, like, I just wonder if you want more than just a yes or a no. Do you know what I'm saying? Like do you want us
Sure.
highly support, like,
Where
you know, more
looking
like
at
a
the
5-point
Pier 47
scale.
gates?
Yeah, the Pier 44 O gates, it's like
Five
support
point-
a
five
code.
point
You
scale.
know what I'm saying?
How
Like
strong, how strongly do you
strong-
support?
And then you
Jamie.
can group them. I think people have a hard time with like a yes, no.
So to the point I was trying to make, as opposed to asking, I understand Jamie's point, but I don't mind trying to figure out what our headwinds are to be taking things to public votes. But I think the 5-point scale or something like it is appropriate, and you could say, how strongly do you support the Pier 44 property being converted into a park? Five is whatever you're gonna say, 5 is the most, 1 is the least, whatever. I would say the same thing about the old gates question. I would say the same thing about Front Street.
But
It's-
still
it's-
leave an opt out, like, I need more information. You still leave a, I don't know, or I haven't made a decision.
Yeah. And Jamie, it's not like a real vote, in the sense that like.
Then why are you taking it?
I'm trying to get because I have no
Temperature.
way of I'm trying to get a temperature of the people, trying to get more feedback, two-way communication. You do a survey at Shaw's, at the thing, at the
I
end, they're
never
like,
fill
you
them
don't
out.
like how it looked.
I never fill them out.
Right, people
It's
say they
Well,
were.
and I
they're
think that you'll
ridiculous.
find that
They're ridiculous.
a lot of people don't fill these surveys out and you need them to be short and precise and to the point, because after you get to 5 or 6 questions, people
Right.
won't even bother to fill it out. I know that the.
And I'd rather you stay up at the 10,000-foot view. And when you know you've got committees working on some of these projects, why don't you let these committees do their job and inform the people, and then you get your input?
Because it's a data point. Pier 44 has done surveys before. They've done many.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
if
gonna
we
be.
have no idea what's happening, doesn't that tell us something? That we haven't done a
Well, I
good
only
job?
saw it last week at CPC. So it's that fresh right now.
So during Heritage Days, I think it was EDC, went around and had surveyors bopping around. I watched 3 different people fill them out. And they just had people wandering around all day, both days, collecting surveys on different things. And they presented those, it was interesting, no, sorry, I think it might have been the chamber. Those, either the EDC or the chamber did a survey. To that point, Jamie, it was a survey that was designed by somebody, thrown out there, and it collected data. It doesn't necessarily mean that data pointed to anything specific or unspecific, but some of the things that came back from that were used when we talked about the shark, Cole Parkway, with parking, so you might be getting a skewed response, but you're getting a response. You might not be getting a large number of people, but you're getting somebody that answers it, which, to Andrew's point, there aren't 40 people here to give us answers every night on every topic, right? So I do understand, we do have hardworking committees out there trying to do a job and carry a long process forward. I don't think asking a fairly simple question cancels out any of the work committees are doing. I think it's just simply the idea of, at this point in a 3-year process, when we have hopefully less than a year to go to take it to a public vote in a town meeting format, are we expecting to walk, it's kind of like asking about an override, right? Are we expecting a brutal bloodbath, or are we expecting a smooth sail? If we know the answer to that question, it's gonna change the strategy of how easily or how hard we work, or whether we can focus on other topics. So I support the idea of a survey, number one. And I think that some of the questions need to be reworded a little, but I don't have an issue with trying to get people at town meeting. They're walking in the door, this is gonna take them about 45 seconds. A lot of people will walk past it, some people will answer it, we'll get a certain amount of data back.
So let's do it this way, Jamie, the first 3, community priorities, satisfaction, parking and traffic, that seems okay. We killed open space, we killed economic development,
Have communication.
yeah, we want communications. For now, because we can do a survey later, if you want, we'll kill 3A, Pier 44, Old Gates, and Front Street, and just keep the last 2.
That's a compromise, I agree with that.
Okay with that.
And then we'll do.
We can always go back.
We can always go back.
We can always see how this works. If we get 4 responses, we can have.
Yeah,
That's a compromise. I don't like surveys.
yeah, clearly.
Survey says,
All right,
green chicken.
perfect. Reader's Digest version on liaisons and comps.
Right,
Yeah, we're meeting next week, no, I'm just saying we can do liaisons. What do you got? You give me one. What do you got?
Let's go next week. Let's go next week.
Coastal Advisory met for the first time since all of the new members. And they're working on emergency cell phone notifications for people along the flood prone area.
That's good.
It's gonna be awesome.
That's your one, perfect. You'll give me the other one next week, because we're meeting.
No, this one is kind of important.
Okay.
The planning board had a hearing, the people, the contractors from the Hatherley Cushing Elementary School project wanna move 2,000 cubic yards of loam between the hours of 10 and 2 or something, and they wanna store it for 2 years directly against the school. And so the planning board wanted to hear from structural engineers to find out if it was safe to put 2,000 tons of loam on top of a septic system and
Against the school.
against the, 2,000 cubic yards.
It does look like Mount Hatherley over.
But I don't know why they didn't
There's
choose
a
to put
lot.
it on the road, so that's a big deal, it's got continued until November 15th.
Alright. Who do you want? We'll do the rest.
All right.
It's gonna be
The
like.
most important.
Most important is the sidewalk committee, subcommittee for EDC is holding their open forum on November 6th. That's not this Thursday, but next Thursday, 6:30 PM in the senior center in the Peggotty Room. For anybody that wants to
Talk sidewalks.
about a possible sidewalk project, open public meeting.
Perfect.
Most important.
Thank you.
Jamie's got like volume.
With relation to the MBTA, I've had several meetings. I haven't spoken much in these because I'm doing a lot of learning, listening. But it's kind of neat. It's all the surrounding towns. First of all, are you aware that the decarbonization program for the MBTA is under full force go ahead? They're right now considering at least the next phase is to create all the diesel trains into renewable diesel, which is not, I don't know, it's renewable diesel, which will reduce emissions by 66%, which is kind of cool. And then they're gonna go from diesel to all electric trains in the next few years.
Overhead electric or electric lines?
Well, there'll be both. There'll be battery, and then there'll be some areas where they have overhead electric lines already in. So when they have the overhead, it kicks in, and then when they don't, like going under a bridge or something, it switches to their on-site batteries, and because of the overhead, they don't need as big of batteries in the trains.
Or as long as it's not a third row.
No, and then Affordable Housing Trust, we did the production plan tonight. 165-67 Stockbridge Road, there's a survey in progress there. Charter, no. MBTA, the Ferry Committee, I met on the 20th, same thing, didn't ask a lot of questions, did a lot of listening. That's where I picked up on, they want everybody to complete a survey.
Which you ignored.
Or so
That's when you
I'm sorry, what was the
participated
topic?
and said it was a bunch of crap.
Well, there's a lot of things on MBTA that night. There
Oh,
was
MBTA.
dynamic signage and wayfinding, waiting shelters, the boats being stranded at the docks. Recent bad weather was another reason why they had to cancel some trips. I think a nice serving number there was the Hingham Hull ferry scenario is in August was 61,000 people. Which I didn't realize it was that busy. And that's grand compared to the other routes.
Yeah.
That don't have that kind of level. Year to date, for all of the routes, ferry is 1,073,910,000 trips. Pretty cool. They're getting some more used boats back from state of New York. So they'll have three new boats to add to the line. What else? I guess that's all I have here. CPC, we already went over that. SDEIC was postponed until November 4th, which is kind of weird because don't we have a town meeting on November 4th?
Yes.
No,
So
the
why-
third.
The
We
third.
have a select
Monday, we
board
have
meeting
select
on
board
this
meeting on
We
the
have a
fourth.
select board meeting on the 4th, so I don't know if
Meeting
I'm
twice in the next.
sit in on that. So
Yes.
that's all I have.
So I have Monday, Tuesday,
All right.
Wednesday.
You go for it, yes.
I have one more quick one. So, just because all four of them literally met in the last 8 days, sidewalk, bikes, traffic rules and regs, and bylaws, and EDC are all trying to create a work group with one individual only, so it doesn't break open meeting law, to discuss e-bikes, golf carts, and biking education in town.
E-bikes.
Yes.
So,
That'd be a
so
good
we're
survey
working,
question.
working really hard across all those committees to try and create a work group with one member of each committee that will tackle the thought process behind e-bikes, age, safety, education in the classroom and outside of school, so that we can try to really, education's primary, and then also talking about the concepts of policy that can be brought to select board for safety.
There's definitely some precedent in other towns that they.
There is precedent, but it's very diverse, so.
At least this is.
There's no statement, there's no very good,
Doesn't
no
give
state,
the public, I don't need to be.
the overarching concept is that there's really no state guideline that's useful right now, too small.
Do you have anything? We did go to the Sail Home opening,
Yes.
3 of us.
Awesome.
It was great, it was amazing.
Did you want a quick update on the Pier 44 area? Is that
Can
what
we
I
do it,
said?
can we do it next
We
week?
can do it next week.
Yeah, we should talk.
I have other updates.
Their next visit to them is new cost estimate pending November. We're gonna have new cost estimate for the final phase layouts. All permits are approved. You're talking, what you requested originally here? TBD, they don't have a number here. We already approved 300 grand. We've already spent $300,000 in permitting and planning,
Oh, yeah.
so you know that. So all good.
How much?
$300,000. You're on the waterfront, so it's stayed, it's,
I'm surprised it was only 3.
yeah, but we got it, so they're ready to move forward.
Alright, I'll save mine for next week.
Motion to adjourn.
No, no,
No,
no,
you
no,
gotta
no,
minutes.
minutes. No.
Nice try.
Motion to approve the minutes for
October 14th.
October 14th, 2025.
Second.
You're all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Now,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
by Jamie, second by Nico, all in favor?
Aye.